Started.
Hey guys, today we're having a good discussion about how to build your nation. Um, and we'd like to get some inputs on what's going on in these newer nations and what we can help you out with because that's the hardest thing to do is to start a brand new nation and how to do it the correct way and not jump to civil war and kill your nation right off the bat. So, with that being said, anyone that has some issues, please speak up. And let's see if we can give you some good advice.
Yeah, man. So what do you think is the problem with your nation, Woody?
My nation is the activity. I think that there's some people that are scared to fight. Versus like how I come from multiple fighting nations to where I know troops are meant to die. And I don't need to worry about the troops because you can always get them back. And sometimes having less troops is better. But communication with a lot of people is a big issue that we're having. Um, like for instance, if I want all my active players in my nation to come join, well, they got friends, so they don't want to join here. They don't want to do this and that, and that causes a big issue because yeah, I get it. We all want to talk to our friends or the same nationality or the area that you live in. I get that, but this is a game, and this kind of I hate to say it like this, but this is not Tinder. You know what I mean? Even though you can find the right person, but I think it's very good that people understand what a nation has to do to become potentially strong and competitive against the other nations. I mean, because isn't that the reason why we're playing this game in the first place?
I think it's a complicated problem, man. Like people want to play with their friends, but sometimes their friends get busy in real life, get married or we have people, I don't even understand what this is, but we have some people that go out on like boats for 3 months at a time or something crazy and they make crazy money out there apparently. So they'll literally disappear for 3 months and then they'll come back and just spend like a monster. So that introduces like a weird dynamic. I think nation building is super complicated, man, and you're right. It's not age of Tinder, but at the same time, you have to like not kick out the people who are friends of the people who are there all the time. And how do you balance all of that in 736?
Well, in my nation, I kind of got handed all the drama got taken care of before I jumped into there. But there still is players that, for instance, you all know SPT. When it comes to Void, we tried until we can't try anymore. We go hard as much as we can. Well, by doing that, it kind of really reflects on the free to play players to the point where they can't continue to participate as much as we want them to because we're always going up against these harder nations. Like the whales have to figure out they can't the whales can't just continue to spend and expect people to show up. I mean, that's an issue. You have to pick and choose something not only the whales can join, but where everyone can join. Like EW. Everyone's going to show up at EW because it's free. They can just sit there, walk straight through, or that Doom. They can just walk through, and it's not a big deal for them. But Void, I'm gonna be real with you. Some people you see online, they send out their farms and they log back out, even though you pinged them. They just do it because they might not have enough speeds or they don't want to go as hard as you want. And in my eyes, I think that's kind of sets on the whale's um, fault. If you want to be that competitive, if whale wants to win everything, well, I think you got to think about everyone else first before the whale wants to win everything. If that makes sense.
It does make sense to me, man. It's super complicated. You can't lean too much on the whale because then everyone else falls behind, or multiple whales, because then everyone falls behind and their stats are trash. And eventually the weight of the nation is too heavy for every couple whales or whatever. But at the same time, like it's hard not to play You know, like you know better than anyone, especially when you're online. It is so hard not to hit that speed button, man.
Yeah, I'm very well aware of that.
It's just brutal. I'm waiting for Lead God to hop on, honestly, because we had a weird thing in 785 where like we had the top nation and we moved other people around and then we burned the other alliance and sorry, we had a top alliance, not a top nation. And it's a weird dynamic, but he said he had something similar, so um, maybe we can stick to more generic advice like it doesn't make sense maybe to burn the entire nation and then hope that you can also win a GC.
So what
Yeah.
you're saying is you're a tyrant.
Well, okay. I think that we gotta jump back to the basic, the beginning of everything. And what I mean by that is when you first join this game and you're trying to structure your nation, you don't know who your whale is going to be. You don't know who's going to be there 3 months from now. And I think that the whole Civil War portion of the game could be two things. It can be good and it could be bad. It can be good because it will get the trolls out of your nation and they'll just move on to a different nation. But it can be bad as it is because you can literally eliminate your nation by doing that.
But we're in a weird space, right? Where I don't know. I feel like everyone 800 and above is like, "Come join us. We have kumbaya. We don't do any fighting. There's no civil war." And literally, I'm in our GC chat trolling some guy who's in 12 something, who's trying to convince people in your same GC chat that I'm in, trying to convince people to come up to the 1200. And my response is like, yo, how are you going to kill farmers? Because it's easy to just bring everyone to grow BP. But how are you going to actually kill farmers and make a real fighter nation?
You got a point
They
there.
don't get it.
You got a real good point there. And that I think what's going on is these newer nations, obviously the bots are taking over, and that's a big problem. They're taking over to where they're only getting 50 people, 50 to 70 people in the nation, uh, period. And that right there is kind of Camel's fault. You know, they have to do something. Like they can't just expect other people um, to kick these bots out. It doesn't work that way. Camel has to put their foot down. They have to stop these bot creators, these resource sellers, or they're going to say goodbye to their their game.
So this guy who's posting in RGC is saying he has 260 active players in a 1200 nation. How much do you believe that?
Well, I don't.
One
I don't.
1200
Yeah.
nation.
No fucking chance, right?
And
Hold on.
257 of them are farmers.
1224. Let me look up 1224, and I'll show the screenshot. Maybe I'm wrong.
Bro, I mean, I'm impressed if we're wrong, but he says they're killing the bots and they have 260 active players, and I want to know what kind of crack they got. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, all right. I'm in their nation right now. I'm looking at the rankings. So we'll look at the.
I have it
I mean,
open
that's got to be
right
blue
now.
coins for all. Sign me up.
Yeah, see, check this out. So you got unavailable cities that start at 79th place.
So what you're saying is the same old shit.
Yeah, like unavailable. I mean, their average is 30 to 31 in their nation. So they're going through a phase to where um, they haven't really got the whole people leaving their nation yet.
Yeah, good for them then. Same old scam.
But I mean, still, you got people from look at 57th place. It's the C32 unavailable. They're not even in alliance. Um, and it goes down like 67th place unavailable, not even in alliance. 81, not even in an alliance. And who's to say the people that are in alliance, those might just be farms. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know why anyone plays in these younger nations, man. Like, I'm sure there's some amazing ones, but fuck, it seems like such a waste of money.
I think you also have to remember that some people in the newer nations define farmer as a bot, not a player that just sits there and farms and plays Farmville.
That's a good point. Yep, that's a good point.
They look at Doom Iron Grip and go, oh, we had 350 people hit it, so we have 350 people active. It's just a definition of terms.
I know when I was in 373 and I had 30 farms, I hit that thing with all 30 farms. That doesn't mean there's 31 players.
So that was Obi, who's the man. He actually tracks for a lot of nations how many people are hitting Mother of Doom and Doom's Iron Fist, or whatever the other one is. And it's a good measure for send 1 troop, 5 troops, whatever, and you can see how many farmers you have in your nation. And we watch it every week. And if we have too many, then we start getting active.
I mean, in your nation, they're not allowed to farm. I mean, that's your rule. Until merger time, you're not allowed to farm. If you farm, they're being zeroed out and possibly main zeroed out, right?
This is a quiet thing, though, that everyone's talking about. I mean, it's not, yes, we talk about it here, and yes, absolutely. We publicly say 785, if you're not in the top 2, you burn. That's it, period. Go gather, you burn. Your city's open, you burn. If you're not in the top 2, you're burning in 785. But it's a quiet thing that people are texting me about, and they want to know, like, oh, where can I look to figure out who I should shut down? And I don't actually do this, but Obi does, and he checks to see how many people are in Mother of Doom or Doom's Iron Fist. And if it's over however many alliances are protected, so there's no answer that's good for everyone. If you have 1 alliance, then there shouldn't be over 100 people playing that. If you have 2 alliances, there shouldn't be over 200. If you have 3 alliances, there shouldn't be 300. I'm not telling you what to do with your nation, but if you protect 200 people, 2 alliances, and you have 500 people playing Mother of Doom, what the hell are those other 300 people doing?
That's facts. That is facts. We all know what they're doing. They're farming.
Bro, this is what we do in 785. We're fucking tired of chilling, and we just spread out and burn everyone. If you're gathering and you're not in the top 2, time to burn.
Time to burn. I mean, you would think that would be some incentive to just want to join the top 2. You know what I mean?
Man, I've been thinking about this a lot. Like, I kind of want to have some chill for the Third Alliance. Let's just pretend for a moment. Let's, for the fun of it, let's pretend that I'm gonna support this Third Alliance. What are they gonna do? When is this C-33 with 200 melee HP ever gonna help the nation in any way? Like, I don't feel good about telling someone they're not allowed to play in my nation anymore. That seems really terrible. That seems like a really asshole way to play. And so I just keep trying to come up with an excuse to let them chill. And not even me. I'm not even attacking them. It's just they're getting attacked, and then they write me and they're like, why can't we just chill? And it's like, yo, what can you ever do for this nation? Just, I'm sorry, you got to go to 1300 and whatever and go farm. I don't know what to do for you.
Yeah.
Hey, good evening, Buckers. Didn't we just leave this chat?
Welcome back. Round 2.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Welcome back. Let's go.
Let's go. I'm here to listen and learn, but I will step in like 2 more times.
Well, you're over there in 914, Dill Pickle. So what did you guys do to eliminate the farmers? Or you guys still have not really eliminate them, because there has to be a fine.
We didn't have to. They all left. We're at a place where no one needs them. So they all left during the Purge for events, 8-10 months ago. We killed all of their cities, and we don't care about farming. We actually advertise in Nation Chat. If you need resources, hit us up. We'll hook you up. I've got 500 billion iron sitting in a T4 farm city. I will give it to anybody. I don't give a
Right.
fuck. Unless Camel's gonna give me uranium, I don't give a fuck. But no, we didn't have to. They left. And I don't want it to be racist, but most of them were Chinese or Korean. And when they realized the nation was like, we don't need you, they all left. Every single one of them. And my personal farmers messaged me, had me clear the farm, and they said, call me if you're going to go to 41. And I was like, no, I'm not going to 41, dude.
And I feel like RSS is the least interesting thing in the game. Like if we're arguing about resources, we've made bad choices. So I guess LG's not around.
No,
I'm sure he'll.
I see him in here. I see him in here.
Amazing. My bad, LG. So what I said privately, and I'll say now, we had an accidental thing in 785 that went weird, and I think it went well that I'm excited about. And so maybe you guys can talk about it and see what you think. I don't really care. Like you guys can give us your opinion on it. It was not on purpose. So you can say it was terrible or not. So we had the top alliance, and then we had the second alliance, and then we had the third alliance, just like many of you. And in the top alliance, we kicked 40 people out. We were down to like 60 people. And most of them went over to the second alliance. And then we killed the whole third alliance and brought over the 40 active players to the top alliance. And now we have 2 alliances that are actually active. And this was not on purpose. And it was literally just someone like leaving the top alliance and being bored with the third alliance not being active. And then it just all worked out the way that it worked out. And you've seen our numbers. Like a lot of you've seen our numbers. We're at 98 active participants in Polar. We were at 92 in Wasteland the other day. And
That's good.
it wasn't on
92
purpose,
people?
but it fucking worked. And I think Lead God said they did something similar. So I wanted to open that up for discussion.
So you're
I don't
active on
want to
the
be
worst-
anybody
the worst
more
shit
than
that-
I am, but I'm actually in the second alliance because we have not figured it out, but we've also figured out we don't want civil war, so we're figuring it out. But I'm in the second alliance, and I'm like the 5th strongest player in the whole nation, which doesn't say a whole lot, but. So is the second strongest player is in the second alliance. The beauty is we are not in civil war because we do believe we'll figure this out.
I mean, I'll
LG,
just
why
touch
don't
on a couple of
you share your
experiences.
We're in the middle of
story?
the same thing in 1208.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and mute those mics up for a few minutes, guys. So like I think that even the Holbrook experience is probably very similar to what I think a majority of nations go through after maybe a year or two in the game. Sure, I think maybe not in the brand new nations. Are you going to get 3 fresh alliances? Basically when the nation shuts down for new enrollment, I guess you'd call it. I mean, typically you'd be able to get a few different, alliances out of just that normal group of people. What's going to happen is over a couple of years, I think typically is that third alliance. You only get so many leaders in a nation. You can only pray that you get some good ones, at least in the first and second alliance. But the probability of having good leadership in a third alliance, man, is so unlikely unless you're giving up one of your own players from the top alliance to go lead that, say, third alliance, which in my experience has, never boded well. So I'll tell you what 425 did, we were already in a little bit of a civil war for a little while there for some stupid drama stuff. And this is prior to our second merger. But the long and short of it is once that civil war was over, we were, very similar to what Holbrook said, we were left with three alliances. Now, our third alliance, if you would, well, actually, I take that back. We really kind of had four. But the fourth alliance was like a rogue kind of weird alliance out there in the outskirts and like level 2 mine area. Do you know what I'm talking about? So long story short is we saw GC numbers and GC participation. And for the longest time, 425 was a GC nation. Even when we couldn't win, we would play, right? Try our best, make the finals. Even when we weren't winning, again, we were in the finals more than likely. But long story short is we looked at the GC numbers, in the semis and the finals, and we were getting, and again, this is prior to our second merger, but we were barely getting like 100 and 120 players. And this is when there was a time when I know for sure that there's four alliances. I mean, four alliances, easy math, should be 100 active players, right? Each one of these alliances say that there's 100 people in them, so it's just one of those things where we kind of called, everybody's bluff. And we're like, listen, clearly we don't have 400 members here. So what we need to do is consolidate. The third and
What's
fourth
your
alliance.
opinion?
Well, if you'd let me
What's your
finish, I'm
opinion?
sure y'all get there. All right. So when the time came, and we've always been, a pretty open speaking alliance, especially from GFK anyway. So I got all the leaders in the Discord chat and, for 425 and essentially said, we need to consolidate. The third and fourth alliances were primary Japanese players that, you can call them of the farming type, but were they farmers? I mean, probably like 75% of them were, but there was definitely some warriors in there mixed in as well because Asian players tend to, play together, right? So these guys didn't necessarily like the consolidation factor. So we kind of just forced it, honestly. We're like, listen, the leadership for this particular alliance was named CAC. And the leader for that particular alliance was just non-existent, and we had done numerous times where certain rules and, we were having problems with shield dropping and, people defending and just doing dumb shit in events that we were trying to win. And at that particular time, we had like a 2 billion point buffer. So it's like, listen, you guys can do whatever you want. If you want to play dumb gameplay, you can do that when we're up by more than 2 billion points. Just don't blow the lead. And these guys just didn't want any part of it. So we opened up the I guess you'd call it civil war, but it wasn't necessarily civil war because it was these alliances are just no longer protected in 425. So you are more than welcome to stay, have fun with us. No one's trying to make you quit the game or otherwise, but you need to qualify and or enter one of these three alliances. And the third alliance was kind of a holding place, right? For people that could at least follow rules, right? We knew there's some farmers in there. You can't kick everybody out. Someone mentioned, I think it was Pickles, said they all just left. Bullshit, bro. Your nation's full of farmers. I'll look in there right now. It's full of farmers, But long story short is you can't make anybody quit the game. But what you can do is try to rally like minds together. And that's warriors, farmers, all the above. So we kind of put everybody, kind of wrangled them together, call it cows or sheep or whatever the fuck you want to call it. But we put all the like minds together, in 425. I mean, it's a little bit different after merger, but, when we did this particular, kind of burn them out, it was burn them into places where they can at least be controlled. Because we do have great leaders in 425, even in the second alliance, man. My boy June over there, he's a beast and he listens and he's communicable. And, if we tell them to stop setting dumb traps in the middle of a void against 385, they stop, like that's the type of leadership that they have over there. But CAC, man, you could call that guy like Barry was today with trying to get the guy awake during Elite War. Man, you call that guy a million fucking times, man, he's not responding. Like maybe 2 weeks later, you'll get a response from a message that you sent in the middle of a void war. So we burned the shit out of these guys. We probably, got a few people to, quit the game because they were really only sticking around because they had a bunch of troops and a lot of resources. But, GFK, we'll take everything. We know how to make a farmer quit. And my opinion, and I say this in the nicest way possible, but the best way to get a farmer to quit is to take all of their wheat and oil. They don't care about the troops, but they care about that wheat and oil for some reason. And if you can take all of it, they're definitely a lot more inclined to mosey on over to the 1300s, something like that.
It's funny that the wheat and oil, the resources, is what gets them to leave.
Bro, I swear, man, I've taken all these guys' troops a bazillion times. But if you actually sit down, bro, and it takes days and weeks sometimes, man, these guys got 4G wheat and oil, but you just sit there and, and you five fleet them to death. And eventually it's all gone. And then you just see that the city never moves anymore. So you kind of, got to where you needed to get. But the guys who didn't quit, they moseyed on over to, one of two alliances, and those two alliances are still there today in 425 as kind of the overflow alliances. Are they allowed to fight and things like that during void wars and stuff? Sure, man. Yeah, but then, don't be fucking stupid. I'd like to think that everybody that is still alive in 425 has a little bit of notion of the game and, at least can hold a shield. Some of the other, alliances out there, they definitely can give away some points. But, the long and short of it is those guys who at least can't follow rules, you got to do everything you can to not create civil war for a long period of time. Because that's super draining and you'll lose a majority of your players and, it's whatever. Not great for the grand scheme of the game or the longevity of the game. But if you can, what I did was just put all the like minds together. So when it was, purge time, and each one of those alliances, we gave them kind of different purge times and things like that. It's like, hey, these guys got like 6 hours before void. These guys, like, no, you have to carry a shield a full 24 hours before void or we're killing you. So you might as well
You're a
go.
bully.
Yeah, I'm a bully, man, but like I don't think I am because some of these guys, they love to just disappear on a Sunday, but at least
Civil
we
war
let
is
them
a
fight.
problem.
Yeah, it is,
Go
man.
ahead,
Civil
LG.
War
My bad.
sucks. I've been in 357 Civil War for years, man, and as much as I got some great friends over there, like 357 is nothing what it used to be simply because of the numerous civil wars over the years, and we're still in one now currently. Would we
Civil war
be?
is a problem, LG, but also
Yeah,
like everyone has the ability to not have civil war, just swallow your pride, swallow your ego, whatever. But also like look at your elite ghoul. You can see your whole nation, whoever's playing elite ghoul. You can kill anyone that's not protected. You can look at your zombies, see anyone who's not protected. You can kill them too. You can surround them with alliance flags. You can shut down farmers in your nation. Not you, LG, obviously, but I'm talking to everybody else who's trying to build a good nation. They can shut down the farmers, and but they don't want to. You know what I mean? Like they don't want to kill off their friends because their friends is what holding down the whole nation.
yeah. I mean, so what's going to happen is those guys are going to become, the non-competitive nations, right? Eventually, it's going to be like my best example of what you're referring to right now, Holbrook, is 415. 415, man, you go look at that nation, pound for pound, they look really good. They're BP fat all over the place. They got some great cities in there, super hyperactive, bro. Like if you did some rules in there and got everybody to show up for GC, they'd be 250, no problem. But you play them in a void war or or something that like means something, bro, it's leaky deaky. It's points. It's like playing the Chinese, like for real. It's just points everywhere. you know?
Bro, I
So like
like
that's the
playful people.
problem. And not to say that like I like 415. I think it's a cool nation, you know, but they can never be competitive because of the amount of farmers that are in that nation. You know, the 70 million BPC 36s. Like what the fuck are you doing? You know?
I do wanna say that. So obviously, you know, that I got like a lot of cities. So when I go in these newer nations, I see their nation rules, and I've been noticing that the Eagle, the top alliances, are setting the rules, but then a week or two later, they're changing the rules, and I think that's a big issue that's going on. Because if you're gonna set a nation rule, you need to stick to them and oblige by them throughout the entire nation, not just everyone else but the first alliance. Because if you
Dude,
don't,
my nation rules have been the same for years, bro.
and it's yeah,
You know?
and there's simple rules like
Yeah, they're
generic
so
rules.
simple, dude. And if you're trying to get all granular and shit, stop it. You know, like the rules should be so utterly simple, you know, like, and I stole mine from, I think, Barry. Like, I'm 98% sure I stole like 90% of my nation rules from Barry, you know?
You
And,
know, you guys talk about this, and I asked some of you recently what your rules are, and some of you couldn't even find them. Lee God, I don't even think you even responded to me, man. I'm not sure Barry did either. No, it's no
I got him
problem.
in my Discord server. I got him in my
Yeah,
Discord
yeah,
server tucked away
it's no
somewhere.
problem.
I'll show him to you.
Bro, it's 100% love.
My
That's
bad.
the thing, though. You don't even think about it anymore. But for these younger nations, we don't necessarily know, and we just revised ours again, and now like finally in 785, it's all good. It's all unity. So we all agreed on everything, and it took a
Yeah,
little
that's what I
aggressiveness
was
with
going to
me.
suggest with the nation rules is try not to have the number one alliance as much as you should have, you know, more chips on the table for leverage per se when it comes to agreeing to a rule or adapting a rule. But everybody should be involved, you know, in a nation that you know has numerous alliances, which everybody does. Everybody should be involved if you want it to, you know, to bode well. You can't just
I
implement rules and um, expect people to jump on board with them, and then, you know, or you know, whatever. You got some of those nations when they don't do it, they just burn you. You know, so
I think you're right, and I actually really like the idea of calling it a treaty. I know some nations call it a treaty. Man, we tried hard to call it a treaty, but now we
it's
brought
one of
them
those
back and
Ten
call them
Commandments.
rules
You know,
again.
it's written in stone, man. It's what it is. Those are the rules. Just fucking abide by them, man. Don't be, you know, well, some of them are unspoken. You know, it's like I had to have a conversation with somebody like 6 months ago because they were, you know, getting a little slick with the racist stuff. And I'm like, yo, bro, what the fuck is that? And he's like, well, it's not in
Yeah,
the nation rules. I'm like, dude, you don't have to fucking put that
common
on paper,
sense.
bro. What the fuck? You don't have to put that on paper. Why do I have to have that in my nation rules? Don't be a fucking asshole. You know, like, come on, man. Like, we don't need to do that.
Yeah,
Keep that shit, some of that shit's for the birds, bro.
that's common
So
sense. Being human.
exactly, dude. You know, our nation rules, and it's probably the reason why I didn't respond to Holbrook. I don't remember seeing that, and I do, you know, really apologize. But dude, there's
It's all
just
good,
man,
bro. Relax.
don't be an asshole. Don't attack anybody outside of these alliances, and place the shield on this day and time. You know.
I found like in these newer nations, it's like the simpler you make it. So if you're an R5 in these new nations, like we'll just say the top three for now. If you can make the rules so simple to where it's going to actually benefit the farmers, and I'm not saying like just farmers, but like the
I mean,
people that are free to play, and they bubble up, then the rules are good. You know,
here's
if you get
one
a
thing that
point,
I love to promote activity that people tend to hate me for in my nation, right? Is most everybody has a purge, right? So if you give a fuck about void war and things like that, you have a purge, not only for troops, but you know, for anything, I purge for resources too. You know, if you're being a lazy fuck, blah blah blah, like we're gonna take your shit, especially if you're in some, you know, wonky alliance out on, you know, level one mine area. But in my opinion, what I personally love of our rules is we have resource limits, and you can be purged even before frenzy. So it makes these quote unquote people who do have these other cities as farms, it makes them continue to empty them, or we're going to empty them for them. People like to cry, well, it's frenzy, they can't take resources, blah, 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 blah. No, it makes you not think about whether it's frenzy or void. It makes you always clean your farms every 2 weeks, regardless of the event. And it just promotes activity for you to, if you are going to have those stupid fucking cities with resources and troops around. Now they're all T4. I don't necessarily care about the troops, but man, I think it's, a sign of, or an exertion of power if somebody can go into your nation and just take your resources, right? 425 doesn't like that, but we do it to a lot of people, right? So but you couldn't do it to us if you tried because there's no resources there, if you know what I'm saying. Like there's no cities with 100 million minerals sitting around in 425 without a shield, or, there just isn't. Like we would have eaten it. But again, I think that people dislike me for that particular rule in 425 sometimes, and they cry about it often. They still cry about it to this day. New people that come to 425, what do you mean I have to clean my farm? It's frenzy. They can't take, bro, shut up. It's the rule. Do what you're told. How about that?
Facts.
Like that's it. We don't have a million rules. There's not A, B, C, D, E, F, G. There's not subcategories. There's not it. Bro, this is the rule. Clean your fucking farm every 2 weeks, at least. Do it every day for all I care, but at least every 2 weeks, clean that thing.
So,
And
so Liga, the first nation that I played in for 3 months, I believe it was 390. And what they had was, it actually worked very well because in the beginning of your game, you don't know who's active and who's inactive at some point. So come the week of KE, like the first day, you have until the very last day, 24 hours beforehand, to go into your signature and put the enemy nation in there. So when it comes to that last day,
cool.
of Purge, if that's not there, it's open to the entire nation, no matter who it is, and each alliance, if they
That's
agree
great for
to
the
it.
beginning.
Yeah, the beginning.
I
The
agree.
beginning.
That's great in the first even year, probably. That's probably a really. I remember. I think it was 309. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure it was 309. They did that forever, for years, bro. For
It shows
years.
who's
If
active
you,
and who's
if
not
you,
active.
well, yeah, and I'll tell you also though, as an enemy, we also know who's alive and who isn't.
Yeah.
So be careful with that if you're not, especially if you're, whatever you are doing that these days. But yeah, I think it's great. I think it's great for the leaders of any new nation to have an easy way to know who's paying attention. Because listen, man, this is a pay attention game. If you're not paying attention, you're gonna die or you're gonna hurt your nation. One of the two or both. So
Facts.
yeah, this is a pay attention game. We need you to respond to Discord messages when we're adding, at everyone, at here, come now. Like we need you to show up, like we need you to be able to do that. Or you're just not gonna, you're gonna be mediocre at best. And that's okay. Like the game is the game. Not everybody's gonna be a top nation. That's just not gonna happen. But if you are one of those nations that, likes to have good events, likes to win, and things like that. When you get into the close ones and you fucking lose because some asshat over here lowered his whatever, didn't hide his troops, or just a shield fell, well, that shit hurts, man. Like that shit makes you fucking upset, for like a week, or more sometimes, depending on, whatever it is there. But yeah, it's not something that I would personally want to deal with. But I love that idea. I personally did that in 425 in the very beginning. And I know nations that did it for some time, throughout the years. So it's
Yeah, I mean,
definitely a great suggestion. It knows who's alive, regardless of alliance. Even if you're that solo player off in the corner, bro, pay attention, sit, throw that shield up and put the enemy nation number, and maybe you don't get burned. But
and
in
I
that
can't.
same breath, they should also be placing a timer on when a city should have a shield, regardless of what that fucking name says.
yeah, I think it's very
Yeah.
important if you're going to use that signature, as an enemy, that all alliances of all players have to understand that if your alliance, one of your players, don't have that signature, you don't reinforce. You let the fucker burn. Like you have to be fair.
I mean, during
Because
Purge, you should never reinforce, man. Like if you have nation rules,
Never.
Baby said that in the podcast a few weeks ago, man. Like you can't do that, like you just can't. If you have rules, like in 425, like the top 3 alliances, they purge themselves.
There's no
And
chance. You can't reinforce in 785 in Purge. I'll fucking burn you. There's no
yeah,
chance.
you're dead, bro. You're
That's a
dead.
crazy idea.
If I
That's a
went, yeah,
crazy idea, man.
yeah, you don't do that. I mean, but think about it though. That's in 785. That would happen in 1350 though, right? Some stupid fucker is going to reinforce it because he sees the red lights.
Oh,
So
I'm
like these
agreeing
are,
with you 100%. They
yeah,
need to adopt the same ideas.
yeah, correct,
Yeah.
correct. But yeah, definitely don't reinforce third purge, man. Like that's like a big no in my opinion, and I'm sure a lot of nation leaders, like Holbrook just said, like he's coming for that ass. Like I'd be coming for that ass if you reinforced, us trying to kill your dropped bubble city.
I don't
I'm
even
also the
like.
guy that
I don't, my bad, LG, but I don't even
like,
like when someone reinforces with one troop. Like it just
dude, it's so
shut the fuck
aggravating.
up
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then let us like it's
it's
crazy. It's
disrespectful.
Purge.
He's
Yeah.
like, oh, I just
Yes.
wanted the report to see how many troops he had. It's like, yeah, no, bro, like stop.
Yeah. What do
Right?
you
Like, who
you
cares?
don't need that report. You're not helpful to the nation in any way whatsoever. You don't need that report. Shut the fuck up. Keep your troops home. What are you doing? Not you guys, obviously. I'm just talking.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
I
so
agree
you don't
with you,
even.
man, wholeheartedly, man. Those are the little rules that like should be enforced by the leaders, regardless of whale or not, right?
Well,
Like
the
using
issue.
Holbrook's Nation as an example. Say his leader was a C-38 or a C-37, even like that's the guy that should be starting the fight. You know what I'm saying? And I'm kind of a little old school like that, so I happen to be the leader and the whale, so it's like. I'm starting the fight, 98% of the time if there's a fight to be started. But good news is, again, 425 anyway, like that shit don't happen. And if it did, it was super early on and those guys got burned. And I think it was the Russians who did it in the beginning, because we definitely had a 30 or so Russians in the very beginning of 425. And man, those guys were funny, but they were also like super racist and like didn't like women and shit. It was bad, but it was fun it was fun in the beginning, like making it about them and killing them. I guess.
I also want to say one thing. So how do you determine which the best decision on an R5? So if your R5 has to recognize what's good for the nation and not what's good for just the alliance. So if your R5 is saying reinforce, why did you touch this guy? I don't care if the rules are there. That's not the correct R5. The R5 has to have compassion and empathy for the entire nation. It has to make it fair. If one of your guys, if that timeline's there and one of your guys ain't bubbled, the R5 has to be able to kick and burn. That has to happen. I mean, unless it's like Lee God, where you ain't gonna burn him no matter what. If he's your fighter and he's collecting most of the points all the time, at that point, like during KE, you're going to reinforce. You're not gonna burn Lee guy, especially if he's a guy or mental. If they're the people that are literally the people winning all the events for the most part. But if the R5 is like, no, I don't care what the rules are, that's the wrong R5. He's not looking for the nation. He's looking for his alliance and his alliance only. And that's not what you want in any kind of successful nation.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's one time and I don't even remember the player's name, and it wasn't even recently. I feel like it was Zombilly, if I'm kind of bring it back. But like he used to often do things like that. He was opposite time zones in like the Dubai area, and he would often start, the kill event without a shield. And it was one of but the good news is once again, like we had our own purge rules. This was something well before Billy not having a shield. Like GFK would purge their own. And same with others. And we got the message from the other alliance, like, hey, do you want us to try? Like, we don't think we can kill Billy, like since Billy was 200 and something million BP most of the time. And, we're always like, no, like, if he's gonna die, like we're gonna sure as shit, be the ones that are gonna, try and save him, blah blah blah. And it usually came about a half hour after the void started, right? So it wasn't long that he would be without a shield. But anywho, we would always get the message back and forth. There's been plenty of times over the years that we've had them take out a couple of guys, and then we would use the scrappy troops for traps, I guess you'd call it. At least get a couple hits on them and leave a few in there to try to lure the enemy in. Things of that nature. But no, man, it just is what he said. Like that unbubbled city, especially the big guys, regardless of first alliance, second alliance, like somebody should be taking care of that.
I think those days are dead, LG. I don't think anyone's just maybe you know what, I'm biased. My apologies. In the nations that I fight, those days are dead. I can't just reinforce a city that can't shield. It's not possible, man. Like I have a reasonable team. Actually, I have a pretty fucking great team, to be honest. But even with my great team, like if people can't bubble, the opponent can murder you, and you're just making a bad choice by rolling in there. You got to let them burn.
Well, I'm talking about like major cities like
There's no
League
way.
or like K138, or for say if you didn't bubble at one point.
All right, no.
Like,
Woody, let's talk about it just for fun. Let's talk about
okay.
it. If
It burned for nothing.
Vegas 3 doesn't bubble, let's pretend he's still in my alliance. If Vegas 3 doesn't bubble, you think I should reinforce him?
That you got a point there. You got a very good point there.
And if Big Bird didn't bubble, 621's defending that city.
No,
That's
forget
true.
about 621. 621 is not even worth talking about.
No,
I don't even remember who it was.
425.
I don't even remember who it was. Somebody already brought him basically to the edge, and then he bubbled at the last minute. It wasn't even like no one has communication with him, but he actually had good defenses. And then when he was about to get spanked for sure by the other nation, no, I'm not making any excuses. He was about to get murdered. He bubbled. But like there's a point where you have to give up and stop defending and just let him burn.
I mean,
that's fair. I agree with that.
That's situational, right? Like the Vegas situation that you have. Yeah, man, I wouldn't be attempting to save much in that regard, especially if there's zero communication. I think I've said this before. There's really not much of a relationship without communication. So if we can't at least talk, like I'm not going to do anything to, or be able to do anything to help in any regard. So if he was in your alliance, depending on the situation, I love to kill the enemy troops. So, I would definitely be using all that man's BP and all my alliance members to kill as many of the enemy troops as possible, even if they continued to come and eventually would kill him, right? Or something along those lines, depending on the situation for the people you were fighting. I probably wouldn't just let him burn, especially if he was under my alliance tag, just because. But if he's like he is now, off in the fucking woodlands. Yeah, bro, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But if he's in my tag, yeah, I'm gonna try and at least kill the enemy. Maybe I'm not doing it for Vegas, and I'm doing it for my own sickness to kill the guys that are trying to, whatever, come in my enemy or come in my nation. But yeah, man, I feel you in that regard. I'm not once the city is dead, right? Like there's no reason to reinforce. Like I hate those guys who, love to send the defense early. It's like, hey, that shield just dropped. We need to watch it, for a couple of minutes until Lion Shield comes on, and they're just sending defense. It's like, bro, why you doing? That's not what
You
he
just
said.
gave
We're
it.
just gonna watch it.
You just gave away that that's a trap.
Yeah, you might as well just put fireworks on the poor bastard.
Oh my God,
Um,
I hate when people. It pisses me off so
yeah,
bad.
dude, I took the words out of my mouth. And then the next
Oh
thing
my
is
God.
when, stupid shit like that. But it's all situational with those things, man. Reeling us back into the topic, like the rules for these specific, things should be kind of in stone. And it shouldn't have to be, if it's Vegas, if it's Holbrook, if it's, this or that, like it really shouldn't, again, using 425 as an example. Anybody in the top three alliance, their alliance is going to be purged by themselves. But here's the caveat to that. If that fucking city isn't kicked and burned by you with an hour to go, I'm going to be reaching out, say, hey guys, what are we doing? You know, that you got Mr. Man over here, should have had a shield, you know, hours ago. You know, what are we doing? You know,
I like
if
how
you
like
can't get if you can't get a hold of them by this time, like we're coming, you know, and you know, that's it. But typically, like it never gets there. They say we've reached out. If we don't get, you know, whatever, we're kicking them out 15 minutes before. We're going to take care of it. Okay, got it. Cool, man. Thank you. If you want us to take care of it, you know, leave them in the alliance. Like, just let me know. Like, I'll come do it. So, like, that's kind of the communication and respect for each other that we have. But yeah, I mean, it typically only takes a, you know, what are we doing with that? You know, do you need help? You know, I kind of assume the sale. I'm a salesman at heart. So, hey, what are we doing with, you know, so and so? You know, do you need help? And you know, because they know they need to take care of it. You know,
well,
they see it.
there,
It's right
there
there.
there also comes an issue. Let's say a city like mine with 354 million BP, even if they kick me out, SPT wouldn't be able to burn me. So at that point, you're just
Yeah, I mean, you specifically, you know, I'm fairly confident somebody would be able to go hold you, number one. You know, and you specifically, I mean, you know, like you're one of the strongest in the nation. So, like, I would only assume your team would die by your side. The nation would lose the void for you, or, you know, all of the above. Like, all of those things should happen. And if it doesn't, like, I would tell you to leave, you know?
I agree. I agree. I would leave. I would leave. I'll admit that like when 717 hit me with their 60-man shot, I was sleeping. And sure enough, we had 12 people freaking reinforce. I was out cold. So I mean, even though
You are lucky. You are
yeah,
lucky, my friends. You know, like, but yeah, like those are the things. Like, you know, certain players. You know, I'll use myself as an example. Listen, man. Like, I even if I wasn't 700 and something BP and I was 200, bro, my team will die for me, bro. You know, I think my nation would die for me. You know, I'm pretty confident if I'm saying those style of things. Like, if my number two alliance could protect me, they would. You know, and you know, like that's and they do that why? Because I've been there forever. I've always supported the nation. Blah 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 blah. But you know, yeah, it would be assumed, you know, and if they didn't reinforce you and do everything to save you, it's like yeah, like that would be a huge spit in the face in my opinion. You know, you'd rather win the void than keep your best player or your most active, strongest, you know, like this doesn't make sense. That exchange right there just doesn't make sense in any capacity, you know.
it,
And I'm sure any big nation out there would say the same thing. It's like,
I would
you know,
I I would say that for say if my nation my alliance was able to burn me and that happened to happens where they did kick and burn me, I wouldn't even be mad. Like that's my fault. That's my mistake. I wouldn't be mad. I'd rejoin SPT
I
and
mean, yeah, but you know, again, that's you know, like whatever, call it favorites or whatever. I think that number one, I don't think anybody in your nation could kick and burn you, right? I don't even think your alliance could. Um, you know, and I say that with respect
thank you.
to your alliance, but like, you know, I don't think that they could. So they, you know, anybody who's smart in a leadership role is not going to say, "Let's kick and burn Woody." You know, it just doesn't fucking make sense. You know, nobody's going to say that. They're going to get more points for the nation if they watch you for 24 hours and make sure you don't get burned because you have
Yeah.
30 million troops and it's hard to burn that city, you know, and get the participation from the enemy to be able to get that many people and, you know, to have the chance to burn your city. So, you know, they'd be better off again staring at you for 24 hours and making sure that you don't burn because that exchange just doesn't make sense. You know, they, you know,
Even in frenzy, they I think
I
the
mean,
points.
you know, again, I don't think anybody in your nation could burn you. So using you specifically, like if my shield was down, you know, for frenzy or like nobody's kicking and burning me, you know.
I
Like
don't
I
think
think
anyone.
that
I don't think
GFK
anyone
could
can.
burn me based off of the sin experiment, you know, but like no, I don't think that would ever happen, you know. I think that that's kind of reserved for the smaller, less inactive players. I think that, you know, if 100 million BP C30 or C40 in the number one alliance, is without a shield and unable to be contacted in a high profile void, that they are close in, whatever. Like, yeah, man, like, you're probably gonna get clipped, buddy, you know? And
So you're telling me if you kicked on mental and then you pinged everybody, you couldn't burn mental?
I
Not saying
mean,
that you would.
I wouldn't burn mental, I
I know
don't
you
I
would.
don't I don't keep you know, the player is worth more than the events, right? And I say that with respect to the game. I would hold my relationships with mental specifically higher than any void or frenzy, right? Like, so that, like, kicking mental out wouldn't be an option. Mental would have to do something really stupid and to get kicked out, right? And likely create a civil war, and burn up the whole 425, right? That's probably what would happen. But that's not, no, like, again, like, in my opinion, the event is not worth the player, so I would just be like, sorry guys, like, we're losing this void probably, but we're gonna make sure that mental doesn't die, or if
Well,
he does die, it's really gonna fucking cost the enemy,
Yeah, I
and
don't
that
think
not
he's
only
dying
that,
anything.
not only that. I mean, you got to think about, like, for say if
I mean,
not
but I
saying
think
that
you're
mental in
relating to the
general.
top players. If you come down a couple of notches, I think that changes,
Well, yeah, if you
and
come like
it
I
all depends. And I think it would have to be like it would have to be the 567 621 void, or the 255 567 void. It would have to be
Big
something
Bird.
like
Well,
that.
I'm gonna tell Big Bird because he's hearing me. If you drop that
Yeah,
shield, you don't shield. We're burning you, Big Bird. We're burning you.
I think fair. First off, I think two takeaways from something
let me
that
ask you a
LG
question.
was
You're up.
saying.
You're up 2 3 billion in the first four phases, right? Are you killing Big Bird if his city's without a shield? Or
Nah,
are
we would
you
never
just gonna have a
kill him.
good time?
We're
If you're set,
we're
if
never.
you're set to win that void by 10 billion fucking points, you know, are you gonna kick and burn your number 10 city in the number one alliance? No, you're
Nah,
not gonna do it. You shouldn't fucking do it. And if you are, you're gonna be without players in a year from now,
I'll put
right?
it to
Like,
you
you
this
just.
way. There was a
And I'm sorry, Big Bird. I didn't
C-37.
mean to cut you off. Say what you need to say.
There was a C-37 that was not bubbling, and they didn't even hit it. But they knew there was like 60 of us on lineup, ready to go.
Exactly. I
So
mean, our last void we just had, we had a guy, 60 million BP, bro. How he didn't die, I don't know. But yeah, it was, 299 just didn't want to come out of their shell. But he was just sitting there, man, like literally for 8+ hours without a shield.
that's
C38, 60 million BP, just fat prime for the killing, bro. Like. And there's only so long you can watch the city, man. If you wait for the proper timing, because he was on shields like as the void started. So, obviously in the beginning of the void, everyone's gonna kind of watch him. But if you wait like 2 hours, bro, like you're gonna get him. You know what I'm saying? And man, nope, they didn't touch him. You know. So yeah, I agree. It's all of those things. I'm not the guy who's gonna kick and burn my team, especially if it's you know, somebody in my particular alliance who I know shows up.
Yeah, I think the takeaways there are good nation rules have to have a little bit of wiggle room in them for some select players to have discretion. And I'm not talking about the people who you're choosing whether or not to kick them. I'm talking about the people who are making that decision, who are making the decision of whether or not we're going to lose a void to save a player. And maybe this is less applicable. Well, I actually think it's applicable to all nations. Older nations who are less likely to get a merge, I mean, we need to be considering player retention. And so I personally think that most of the time I'm going to shade on the side of let's lose an event over losing, certain players, right, who are very active. And for the newer nations, it sounds like at least there are much fewer active players per nation. And so it's a different calculus than we have in the older nations, but I think it's similar in the sense that you need to have some discretion. You need to be careful about who are the select few players who are making those calls and get that discretion, because if you exercise that discretion too often for the top alliance and not for the other alliances, you create a bad situation of a double standard. And that's something you have to be wary of. But again, I think that can come down to communication and explaining the situation. And often the top alliance is the one that's carrying most of the water for the nation in nation events. And so as long as they are properly supportive of the secondary alliances, you have to earn that discretion, I guess is my point. But I think that especially in the current day and age where, when we came up, LG, like, you could count on getting a couple merges. And when we started in the 400s, it was like, all right, merges are going to happen because that's the way the game goes. The game seems to be changing. I think it's a problem. I think Camel needs to resolve it. But, right now merges are uncertain at best. And so you're kind of stuck for the most part with the player base that you have. And so you got to think about, I used to say in 459, the one thing that we can't replace are players. We're not getting new players, especially in a nation like 459 where we didn't have kind of the recruiting pull that some of the other nations have. And so, you got to, I think to your point, LG, it's situational, it's context dependent, but I think you got to have a little bit of discretion built into your rules, but explicitly built in some ways, so people aren't surprised by it when there is some wiggle room.
Listen, I think we all know that every great nation out there, I'm not even saying that 425 is one of them. Let's just use like the 255 as an example. Somebody's leading that nation, right? Not just the first alliance or whatever. Like there's some, sure, there might be a collective there somewhere, but in a lot of times, and I'll use 425 as an example, I tend to think that I lead 425 without making decisions for my number 2 alliance, which is like a primary Asian Japanese alliance. Again, great leadership over there. They tend to follow suit, but they also are very communicative and and like to add their own input, But every great nation out there, I feel like there's a fucking leader, and there's somebody who's talking. There's somebody that you would go to if you wanted something from X nation, or if you, whatever. Like 255, I would assume, and I could be wrong, but I would go to Baby, right? Like she's the leader of 255. I think if Baby says something in 255, it fucking happens. I think that's just how it rolls. I know that there's a collective. I know that there's rules. I know all of those things, like she kind of said, but Baby makes shit happen, and 425, that's me, right? Like if there's a problem or an issue, like my name gets added on Discord. Hey, it comes through me for whatever reason. Why? I don't fucking know. Probably because I talk the most, but it comes through me, and I don't want to talk for other people, but I'm sure 621 has, probably a designated nation leader, whoever that might be, right?
Hey,
I
Big
don't
Bird,
fucking know.
I don't have a
Like,
bubble, you let me die.
so like, yeah, so like these are all things that like I feel like is and I'm just not great with the newer nations, but 785, man, I'm calling up Holbrook. You know what I'm saying? Like the 858s and the 904s, like those are the like I would just there's likely a nation leader there. Not to say that they're a dictator and they're making all the rules or anything like that, but there's typically a there's typically a voice for said nation, and during that rule process, whatever that looks like, they're typically the ones, offering the most suggestions and, hey, don't you like this? Well, we should agree on this. Is there anything about this you don't like? Again, I'm a salesman, so like whatever, maybe I use some of those tactics, but I just tried to make it super, super easy, you know, super, super easy. And we made it alliance based because we already had the sheep and the cows and the goats, and we already had everybody in separate pens. We knew who wanted to fight. They were in GFK. We knew who was Japanese. They were in the second alliance, you know, and left over from the other Japanese farmers that we kind of just killed. So we already kind of knew who everybody was and what they were about. You know, I don't think it's too difficult to figure out who likes to fight. You know, if you're paying attention, you can see that in the nation rankings every 2 weeks on Void or Frenzy. You can see who's in the top 100. You know, you can see by their BP if they're just getting killed or if they're actually fighting. You know, so there's a lot of, you know, things if you know how the game works to kind of figure it out. But the rules themselves, guys, man, try to make them easy. Try to agree on them. Try to make them easy. And I do like some of the little things like what he said earlier. You know, in the very beginning, if I'm like you new nations that do listen to this podcast, you know, your best thing is to try to figure out a way to see who is alive, see who actually talks, see who actually has a fucking pulse. It's not some bot bullshit. And you know, and try to at least, you know, do your line groups or your discords or, you know, whatever it is, just to, you know, see what is see who's alive, you know, because in the very beginning, you know, sometimes there's 5, 6, 7 alliances, you know, people scattered all over the place. So if there is enough minds, you guys should be able to at least, you know, agree on something like that. You know, all right, well, show us that you're alive by placing a shield by this time and showing us that you're alive for this event by placing, you know, the enemy number in, you know, your signature. I think those are two great things. You know, I think for purge purposes, typically, because a lot of the purge is, you know, the weight of that is done by the #1 alliance because they give a shit, right? That's typically just how it works. You know, correct me if I'm wrong out there, but the #1 alliance is typically the one out there, you know, purging the outside trash out there. Um, you know, so I like putting different times, you know, on the call it the 3 through 10 alliances out there, whatever they may be for purge purposes. I like to put different shield times on them just to you know, help the purge process, keep it a little bit more flowy. You know, at this time you go here, at this time you go there, things like that. And then if there's any time at this period that there is no shield, they die. You know, and that's just kind of our rules. And we only do that again for like the 3 through 7 alliances out there, which are typically T4 farm alliances, but there's some rigmarole floating around out there, if you know what I mean. And those are the
So
guys that at least they have a shield and at least
let,
they do their thing.
Liga, let me ask you something. So we all know that when it comes to the pro purging time before KE, there's always that one person that, you know, they're a little bit late. So is it possible to make an exception if the other alliances R5 contacts you and says, hey, give this guy an extra 15 minutes. We know he's going to bubble. He just hasn't yet. And
I mean,
is it a
again,
good
that
idea?
for us in 425, what we did was is make it so we have to purge our own, you know?
Right.
And so in that event, like if it was my #2 clan, you know, reaching out to me, you know, and asking me, because maybe I reached out to them, let's say, and like, hey, what's up with Buddy? You know, and like, oh, he's gonna be here in 15 minutes after, you know, the event starts. Like my first question is how many people do you have online?
Yeah.
You know, like what are we talking about? You know, I'm also looking at who doesn't have a bubble. You know, how many points
Right.
can he possibly give away? You know, whatever. There's a few different calculations in there. But if they're trying to save him, if it's my #2 alliance, right? If I'm specifically talking about my #2 alliance, if they're trying to save him, as much as they've done for us over the years, like I'm gonna respect their wishes and, you know, and let them attempt, you know, but I'm going to be like, listen, bro, you need to get everybody online. You need to, you know, kind of shy them away and, you know, and if it's going to be 15 minutes, you know, we got your back. So if they do come, we're going to fuck them up on counter. Right. So, you know, something like that. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I would respect their wishes because they don't ask me for that. you know, and I've been playing with these guys for years. I've never had that, you know, never once have I. So if June hit me up and he's like, yo, like give this guy 15 minutes, like this is my homeboy. It's not like him. He's going to be here. You know, like we're ready to defend. You guys counter, but like, let me do my thing. Yeah, bro, I got you. You know, like I'm
Yeah.
not
All
going to
right,
tell him
question.
no.
Big Bird, are you letting me die or are you saving me if I mess up?
Die.
V Time's dead. He's dead as fuck.
Time's dead. He's like a beetle.
I mean,
Are you letting
I
all 87 million BP of me die or what?
I think I've said, you know, I lean towards protecting. I lean towards getting online. And listen, it's gonna, if you're gonna try and take one of us down, and we got a lot online, you better be rolling real deep to
Yeah,
come
you're
away with
taking
a
the
win.
words out of my mouth, dude. They're not burning you, V Time, bro. You're smoking crack if you think they're burning you, bro.
They're not burning him.
And they're not burning you, man. As much as they want to,
Hey,
as they're
you,
not,
you,
you
you want
know.
you want to know who has my back?
And I
Maverick with
wouldn't
Midlife.
either.
I'm in there.
And I wouldn't either. You know, like it's just not, you know, like especially 621. Bird just said it. Bro, you guys roll deep, bro. The probability of somebody coming after your city and the corner of the map in the enemy nation without a shield all by itself is unlikely. You know? But like
They're
what
gonna be
you
like,
know,
this is a
whatever.
trap. This is a trap. This is
Yeah,
a
dude,
trap.
it's yeah, bro. It's like they're not, you know, but anywho, they're not killing you, bro. They're
Damn,
you know.
Maria on chat said let me die. Damn, she hates me.
I'll call you. I'll call Yorzy in the chat right now, bro. Yorzy's gonna be like, nah, bro, we can't kill V-Time, bro. You know?
Well, he V Time's a big, you know, addition to the 621. You know, so I mean, like, plus, I mean, a lot of these nations, such as 425, 621,
I mean,
they
but
have
also
they have a reputation.
621. Correct me if I'm wrong now, and unless it was this recent thing that you guys just have at 567, but 85 or 90% of the time, you guys are going into phase five up at least 600 to 1.2 billion, more than likely. Sometimes a lot more, you know, probably for void, but you're always going in, and then at the end, you're typically winning by billions, right? Like call it 6 or 7 billion if the shields and the fights are available. You guys are winning events at a high level. So like the probability of it being the right nation that you were so close to potentially beating, running neck and neck, and your potential city being the blah blah blah, and then weighing the player versus the event, bro, you're not getting burned. And if they did, I would be like floored that they did. You know, I think it would take a lot for that to happen at any level. Because again, you know, you guys run deep as shit, especially at the start of an event. You know, like
Well,
you guys are
Technically,
known for reset 70 people at reset. Bro. You guys are known for that
well,
shit.
for Frenzy, we do it. It's a little bit different. For Frenzy, we have done it. So I can't say we don't do it, but for Frenzy, if
Well,
it's real tight and it's
Frenzy's
like a
completely
2v5,
different. Yeah, bro. I kick and burn everybody for Frenzy because I can. Right? Like you deserve to get kicked and stay out of Elite War for a week because you're an asshole. You know, I do that. Trust me, man. I do that. I kick guys for Frenzy, you know, just because you're being lazy, bro. And now you deserve to not be in the next Elite War with us. And now you fucking deserve to message me to come back. You know?
you're the
And
water boy. You're the water boy for EW now.
I mean, it's just like,
To
bro, have a
clarify,
little respect.
oh, sorry, LG. To clarify what you mean, though, for listeners, when you're talking about kicking and burning for Frenzy, you're talking about kicking them right before the reset and then burning them right after the reset.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah.
right? Yeah. So
Thank you
they're
for the clarification. I personally kicked them 30 minutes before, so everybody knows that I'm going to burn them at the start and to stay the fuck away. And we know that the shield is down and all. You know, it's like my message to the nation, or you know, that people are looking, so I don't get messages every 4 minutes about the location of said shield drop, right? Because that happens. So long story short is, yeah, I kick them, you know, about 30 minutes before, so everybody's aware and they stop messaging me. It's like my way of saying, leave me the fuck alone. And yes, as soon as the moment, the clock ticks, whatever, 59 seconds, I'm slapping them. And I got 5 fleets in them immediately. So if any nation out there is trying to be slick and get there fast and all those things, there's not going to be any troops. Don't waste your port or your speeds. It's not worth it. You'll be waiting 5 times behind me.
5 times behind you while your bubble's down and you're being countered.
Yeah.
I've got a when we taper off of this topic, I've got a question for Holbrook and LG, and I can talk a little bit about this from the 459 perspective because it happened. Everybody's got their like leadership council, right? We called it the council in 459. What have you guys done when there's a deep dispute in your, I call it a council? What do you do when there's a deep dispute, especially if it's going to impact other alliances? I'd be curious to hear how you guys have handled that if it's come up.
I mean, honestly, we haven't ran across disputes. Okay, first of all, my first question is in alliance, but you right at the end there you mentioned like other alliances. So
Yeah,
like for me
let me give
personally,
you.
I have leadership. Yeah, go ahead. You know what I'm saying. So
yeah, so what I'm talking about is, I'm thinking about a particular dispute on how to handle our third alliance who was leaking points regularly, and the leader of that alliance was unwilling to take the necessary steps to get rid of the habitual leakers. But we had a dispute in our council about how to handle that and kind of how many chances to give them, what routes we were going to take. Were we going to have some sort of step up punishment scheme, or were we just going to level them? And it was a very close, we voted on a lot of major decisions like that. It was a really close vote. And typically myself and the R5 would vote last because we'd see how all the other votes would play out first. And we made what I consider to be one of the very difficult decisions of our time in SKL to level the third alliance. And we took them out, and they but part of the calculus, I had individual conversations with my R5 as this was playing out. Part of our calculus was the people who were really pushing for it, they were pretty fed up, and we ran the risk of losing players to them just retiring because they were so fed up with it, spending 16, 18 hours online in Void to see a lead get pissed away by leaks in our third alliance. And it was like the situation had improved, but it wasn't improving fast enough. And so we ended up, it was a tough decision on kind of how to navigate that, but we ended up leveling them. And part of the calculus was, we've got guys who are girls too, who are going to walk if we don't fix this problem faster than we're currently fixing it. So it wasn't necessarily like a dispute about what the end outcome was going to be. It was like how long it was going to take. Were we going to have some step up consequences? But I'd just be curious if you guys ever had issues like that where it impacts nation policy, and it's going to definitely have some serious ramifications in how the alliances interact. And, how did you navigate those if they've come up?
So I'll use 425 as an example. So one of the things, so remember that CAC alliance that we talked about earlier in that little war? That was our third alliance at the time, right? So literally identical to what 459 did. We had a nation discussion, and then the leader over there was non-existent. Not that he wasn't willing. I just think that he was inactive. I think that he was the R5 organically, since they were like the number 4 farm alliance like many moons ago, and it just like organically turned into the third alliance for whatever reason, through inner mergers, I guess. But long story short is when we killed them off for the identical reasons that you're referring to, Bird, is like, dude, these guys would just leak, man. Like, oh God. And I remember 459 and 425 going back and forth, right? And if you got a good memory, Bird, you were getting all them damn points from CAC, right? Like, you were. And that's what they did, man. It was just tough. And so long story short is these guys, once we killed a majority of them, obviously some of them still wanted to play, and we wanted to keep players in 425. Our goal wasn't to make people quit. That really wasn't our goal. Maybe a few of them we didn't mind, leaving, uh, in this particular case. But when the people, because a couple of those guys came over to GFK. A couple, majority of the active players that were good went to our second alliance because they were Japanese. But the rest of them, kind of like what we talked about earlier with the corralling. Those guys that like to leak, right? Especially the quote third alliance members. I don't know about you guys, but for me, it's always kind of been about tiers. So you have Alliance 1, 2, and 3. It's typically power ranked, right? And there's only so many people in a nation. So that third alliance, just by definition, isn't going to be the strongest, right? So if you're not the strongest, that tells me one of two things. You're either not active or you're not spending any money. Not spending money is fine, in my opinion. Perfectly okay if you don't spend money. But not being active is not. In this particular, game that we love to play. So not being active wasn't. So what we did, to kind of mitigate the loss of players, because, I'll tell you, some of these alliances can still hold towers in GC and, things like that, right? But anyways, different topic. What we did for those players that maybe like to leak, we put restrictions on them, man. They were allowed to have as much T4 and under as they wanted, but they're only allowed to have one fleet. And that one fleet must be hidden in the fort. Like if I go searching KMA right now, KMA is my number 4 alliance. If I go searching KMA right now and I find high tier troops on a random Sunday night, whatever this is right now, like I can by rule definition, I can attack them. Their main fleet that's above tier 4, it's got to be in the fort. Like I'm not allowed to find it. If I find it, I'm also allowed to attack it. So those are kind of the rules that we do in 425, but it's outside of our top 3 alliance. These are guys who do log into the game. They can follow rules, meaning that they shield properly, they abide by purge times, they show up, but they're not good enough at the game to have a lot of troops, whether that's comprehension or power, right? So they're not allowed to fight with their high tiered troops on Sundays unless we have a 2 billion lead or higher, right? That's our nation rules, if you would. So those guys aren't fighting. Sometimes like my alliance will be like, oh, look, they're over there leaking. They're 12 defending members, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, they're playing with C4, bro. Leave those guys alone, So
they're gaining little points.
Yeah, I mean, they're just having a little fun because they're only allowed to do so much. Now, there are probably 3 or 4 members in an alliance that do have troops that are very good tactical warriors, but they don't play well with others, So they're there, they're there, and they have a great time. So when they're playing those T4 traps, you can guarantee they're sliding in their high tier fleets. And sometimes it works well, sometimes it doesn't. Who knows? I tend to just leave them alone because, again, they for the most part follow rules. But yeah, we tend to corral, and then in that correlation, we like to put limits on people, and then. We also don't let people just grow BP, like I recently killed a guy a couple of frenzies ago. He was a 65 million BP C-36, I think.
Ooh,
Yeah, 60. No, I think maybe it's C-37. I forget. But
that's
after I killed him for frenzy, it was frenzy, so it didn't kill all of his troops. But I messaged him, man. I was just like, listen, your kills are low. You've been around for years. You obviously haven't been killed in a void, right? But like, bro, you don't need those fucking troops. You got T10 in there, like delete that shit. You know, wait for till you get C38, whatever. But you need to get down to like 40 million BP, bro. Like, you don't need all that shit. You guys are ranked 600 in Elite War. Like, you don't need all those troops. You have like 30 million kills. Like, come on. And he responded a little slick, but dude, 3 days later, bro, he's 36 million BP. You know, and
yeah.
nobody killed him.
I've also noticed that like some of these 41s, and when we say paper tiger, some of them are straight paper tigers, and they'll have like 150 million BP, but yet their stats are literally like 1100 flat.
Yeah, I
That's like
mean they're gonna pay
yeah,
for that one day, and that
yeah.
sucks, man. I don't love those guys, you know. Not to say that they're not every nation doesn't have a couple or at least one, you know. So it's like, yeah, I totally agree. I would so much prefer shout out my boy Shard Attack. Like that dude's like a powerful ass C-37, man, that eats up those paper tigers in the mines, bro. You know, and it's like it's almost like comical to watch. You know, he's legitimately a C-37, bro, with just blasting these dudes. You know, and it's comical. You know, and they're definitely C-41s with T-13 zombies and like you just said, like 1100 melee
Yeah.
HP and like 1500 attack,
I
and
think
it's like, bro, what are you doing? Huh? You know,
yeah, I think
so yeah, I don't like that.
yeah, I think the point of if you're a city and you plan on recruiting, and we all know that there's a cap between having too much so you can't hide and just trying to go to the point where you're not able to be burned, or at least second thoughts of it.
Well, I think
But
that's got a
if
lot
you're
to do with leadership as well. So, you know, if you're not if, if you're not being directed properly, you could very easily just spend money to make your BP higher. Because
oh
remember, like when you log into the ranks, right? You see the number one city in your globe. It's ranked because of BP. You
yeah,
know, so organically, the first thing that you want to do is just raise your BP to get to raise that. You know, so you have to think of the mentals behind it. But like, yeah, man, like those are all things that people are looking to do. But if they're led properly, and hey, man, there's no reason to rush to C-41 when you have 800 melee HP. Like, let's focus on your titans and your officers and bubble and this new plane fucking thing, whatever. Let's focus on that and let's be super strong in these capacities before we try and go spend all our money on green shit and recruiting paths. Like I don't think that that's a great spend of our money in the in the beginning or the end. Like even as a whale player, man, I hated buying recruit packs. I fucking hated it. And
I
if I
found
didn't care so much about void in a certain few areas, like I definitely wouldn't be as fat as I am. I would have stopped like when I took over Rams many moons ago.
yeah.
I
There's
want
a
to
lot of
circle back real quick, Woody. I want to circle back to the one fleet thing,
yeah.
and I want to explain it a little bit more because that's what we ended up doing with the Third Alliance as well. One
Sure.
fleet lets them participate in Doom Arena at a higher level, which seems to be important. One fleet lets them have a fleet in the uranium mines and get uranium to continue increasing their city level. One fleet lets them play in EW, at least to the extent one fleet gets you. And so the trade-off, though, as LG points out,
You also
is
get Chaos Land, Iron Blood. You get all of those
yeah,
other. You get, they could at least get to attempt. Correct.
yeah, but the rub is it has to be in the fort. You can't ever be using it, and if it's scouted, you can burn. But even if they mess up and like their fleet comes back from the fort, you've mitigated the loss that can ever occur, even in the worst case scenario, with a single fleet. And so for kill events, you mitigate that risk of point leakage, but you've also given them you haven't told them you can no longer play. You get to still play. You get to still play most of the events. You have a fleet, so you're able to play, and you're not telling those people that they're effectively done in the nation. So I think, as
Well,
you're looking at
the
newer,
caveat to that is where I jump in as well is, listen, if you guys want more than that and you want to do more than that, then you have to leave this alliance and you have to go to this alliance. So that's
Exactly.
where our kind of, the rules rotate. It's like, listen, I don't want to call it like that's the last chance alliance, but like that's the last chance alliance. Like if you leave that alliance right there that's only allowed to have one fleet, like you're hunted every day. You are now food, for real. Like unfortunately, you're food. That's how it is in 425. There's a handful of rogue alliances out there and they just get farmed all day, So like if they leave that, but the caveat to that is if they are becoming active and they have time on their hands now and whatever, they just retired and whatever the scenario might be, and you want to recruit and you want to be active, all right, you now leave here and you go to Ron or KSF. So fuck, come to us if we have a spot, whatever it is. Like we're only looking for activity at this juncture, I think, at any level. From a nation leadership standpoint. So you're looking for anything to promote activity, like whatever that is.
Right. So we have a concern in the YouTube chat from Wheezy Way from 1104. He says he still can't figure out the unworldly skills on the officers. Like, so I know
just sounds like you should probably. I don't know, man. I got a free C-34 for you, bro. Like, come through. Like, if you can't ask your leaders, man, about the unworldlies, and you can't share them in chat and get a legitimate answer from somebody who knows what the fuck they're saying or doing, I don't really have an answer for you, bro. I really don't. Sucks.
I
Sucks
get
that
you. I
you're.
get you. I get you. I get you. So first,
to learn from.
your first answer is for sure to just go play with Lee God or Big Bird or V Time or Barry. I love Barry too. Actually, my bad, Woody. Or come play with you. But
thanks. No, it's okay. In
but
reality, I don't have.
We can keep it easy, man. It's not that complicated, bro. Like drill masters, just breakthrough. Don't waste your time otherwise. And with war officers, Tifa and Zeus, they're going to give you melee reduce. So you have no reason to go 6-star. Panda and shit, I don't know, man. I don't remember exactly what it is. But to be honest, man, I think honestly you should go breakthrough all the way on officers for basically everyone but the worst of the other warfare officers. Because the same thing that Lead God always talks about, like, unless you're spending a bunch of money, you're not going to do good with these things. And if you are spending a bunch of money, then talk about it, elsewhere. It's not a general idea.
Is that person who's asking that question, Woody, are they in here or on YouTube?
They're on the YouTube chat. I'm Barry.
Well, if they want to join, if they want to join Discord, they can hit up Ewan about it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, man.
I'll teach. I'm willing to teach anybody, and I know how to do the 6 stars, fucking good. So that's the best I can do for that guy.
I'm trying to tell everyone the general advice. Like, breakthrough means you don't have to use the books, and like the complicated answer is, you want to use the books? Okay, then never upgrade Panda. Obviously, that doesn't make any fucking sense. And just hit the 6-star skills and push those books, and reduce damage is the answer. It's not that complicated of an answer.
No, you know what I mean, Holberg. It's just easy to teach somebody if you can have like a one-on-one and you share the screen. That's how I do it with my teammates, and I'm willing to do that with
100%.
anybody in the community.
Yo,
and I think
Barry
what all
was
you guys
talking
are trying
about
to say
doing
is
that.
it takes
Yeah.
like it's going to take like 45 minutes to actually go through it. Like if you're trying to get some actual value add, you need like at least 45 minutes to talk about that. So
And you guys should talk to Barry if you want to. I think Barry will help you with your cities, and Barry has talked about helping other people with cities. I think he's willing and helpful, man. Barry
The,
from
the
fucking
answer there,
3 is awesome.
yeah, you just need to be in talk, man. And you got to put the foot in front of the other. So as V time just said, man, get on the discords, get in these channels. Like if you ask that question in Barry's server or Enoch's server right now, you would have the answer to whatever your question from like 8 different people in like 4 minutes, you know? And that's what the community is kind of about, and I think if you're serious about growing that city in the 1100s, then you should definitely be on those platforms around those people. My opinion. I'm in there. All the people that you're talking to here on this particular podcast are in there. So I think you'll get the proper information that you're looking for, or at least be able to understand it. So you don't need to ask those questions, and you just understand it. You know what to look for and what to do. And then hopefully you can, pay it forward and do it for the next guy. Share your officers and show that guy, who's in a similar position that you were, how you got to where you are. So long story short is, yeah, I think that you need to be on the right places and ask the right questions. And I'm a million percent certain you'll get the answers that you're looking for. But to
So
go off
he,
what Holbrook just said, I agree
he
with him, man. Like if you're not spending cash on this game, bro, you take what Camel gives you. And when you get those frags, man, like I don't think you should really be rolling them too much if there's availability to be raising those BTs.
so
That's
he
just
hold on,
my
hold on.
professional opinion.
He messaged back. He messaged back. He says it's more specific. It's the zombie XP bonus on Morgan. He says he's getting the same XP if he uses it and don't kills them on, and don't if he uses it or don't use it on the monsters.
I mean, you know, all VIP.
And I
And
think
that's
yeah, VIP is going to be one that because it should work. The extra XP, I don't think you're going to see in a report. I think it's going to go right into the actual XP of your actual account. When you look on your stat page or whatever you want to call it, your main info page, I think it just automatically goes into there versus on a report.
yeah. I would test
it'll be on
it
the report,
by
Woody.
Well,
I would
because
test it by
this
using
guy
all of
is
your commander experience and then killing one monster.
As
And
you
going,
as you have
well, I had a guy.
monsters, it will show up on the report. You just get more of those XP packages than you would otherwise.
And so if you're trying to attach the officer versus unattach the officer, make sure that the level is the same. So they're not like attacking a level
Well,
32,
here
33, 34. It
I'll
needs to be
show
30. It needs to be constant. 35,
I'll show
35.
you. I'll show you what he sent me, and you guys can look. Here's one screenshot of one. Let me go back and grab the other one. Give me a second. And it does. What he did is exactly what we're saying. Wait, is that mine or no? Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna just save it. Save image. Save, and we'll save the second hit that he did. And it is the exact same points on the report. Disregard the one I just sent for that's actual mine. I'll send these two
yeah, I
right
mean,
now.
I would ask VIP. That's not something that I have personally on my officers. But yeah, in the beginning, it's definitely something you want. You know,
Here
and
we go. Here we go. These are the two reports that he did, and he added some XP like what we said to do. But they're two different reports. Same level 5, level 35. It's with and without the downworldly. And I think I told him you need to contact your VIP on that because it should be given extra XP unless it's just literally going straight to the XP bar on your info page. but I mean these are exactly the same points.
Yeah, I would use all the commander in your bag. I would go kill the monster, and I would see how much you're actually getting in your bag, regardless of what that report says. And and if anything,
Okay.
just if it's, I'd just ask VIP, send it to Camel. They'll give you 3 research speed ups to help you out.
And that's the best. That's the best because if you look at the report that I put in before with that, what I have it circled, I mean that's a level 35. I do have some things to increase the XP, and mine are way more than what he posted, and it should be exactly the same.
Yeah, not sure. That's a VIP question
Yeah.
for sure, especially since the commander level just got increased for everybody who's kind of been hanging on to a bunch of that for a while. I know it doesn't mean much to the newer nations. I forget the nation he said he was from. But
1104.
yeah, so he's still working on his, I'm sure. So yeah, he needs that extra, to at least get that war stuff kind of worked out.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely reach
Yeah.
out to VIP about that. I mean, it shows
Or
like
just
in
Camel
my
info,
yeah. And then you know what, Camo might not even know about it, that this is going on. So I mean, if you contact them, they might look into it and be like, "Oh shit, you're right," and they might refund or not refund, but give you what it was supposed to be because they can see every time you attack a monster. They see every single time. It's not like they're like, "Oh well, we don't know how many." They know how many. Trust me. It's all calculated. It's all recorded. They know how many times. They know how many times you send to a farm. That's a VIP question. I wish I had a true answer for you on that one. I really do. Because I mean, if that's the case, why the fuck am I switching my shit? You know?
Yeah, I mean, I personally stopped doing that a while ago, but I think now that the 75s come out, I'll probably tinker around with it during the monster events. There's no reason not to.
Yeah, that's why because after I got to 70, I switched them out and put fleet speed, and now it's
Yeah,
back. It's like, well, fuck. Now I got to switch them back to where they were.
yeah. I mean, I have so many frags, so I think I'll probably mess around with it just because I have so many frags for those style of officers just in
Yeah.
the bag. So it shouldn't be horrible to switch it back just because I haven't switched anything for those guys in probably years at this point. So, to use a couple of frags and bring it back, I think is worth it. Because even, I've been level 70 for quite some time. I can't even remember. It's been so long. And I'm at like 72.3 now. So,
Okay.
and the levels are so many each time they like double. So it's it's a little crazy. So the XP is gonna take a long time. So yeah, I'll likely throw in a triple S monster XP to help me out a little bit.
Hey guys, when they get that extra XP, I mean, you're not going to get like 1,000 extra. I mean, you're talking about like 20 or 40 extra par. But after you do thousands and thousands of monsters, they start to add up real quick to where you can start pulling.
Yeah, that ends up, man.
Yeah, you can start
Especially
pulling.
if for the newer nations, I mean, whatever. I'm sure you can pull up Woody's YouTube there, right? Since they're on YouTube, and pull up Woody's officer videos that he's done. They're great. He'll tell you how to build these officers and all of these things, and to answer some of the nonchalant questions. But in the very, very beginning, call it 1300s and up now, man, you guys need to be killing monsters like get your fuel recovery, get your monster killer, like that's the free shit from Camel, man. If you just sit over there and have your mobile regen doing its thing, when it's not void week, like switch your commander skills back to farm mode and like do all of those things, because I think that really helps out, especially the free players. You'll be able to really grow that city if you're getting all that officer XP, because every time you kill a monster, not only you get some commander XP, but you get some officer XP. So you want to get all that stuff in your bags and Do that as much as possible because that's going to be a super big defining factor. I mean, shit, I know whales that still do this. Guys that actively spend a very good amount of money that will literally sit there, change their skills back once a week, and sit over there in the corner, port away from the hive, and kill their monsters, man, and get their free officer XP because we all know there's going to be a new machinist or whatever the hell Emily is. So there's going to be another one of those to fill the plus sign here soon, for the older nations. So, man, get your monster killers going and start stacking up for your XP. And for the newer nations, yeah, you should be killing monsters. You should be kind of building your strategy officers around killing monsters, in my opinion. Outside of fleet size, of course, but everything else for the strategy officers, man, really should be monster oriented, in my opinion, for the newer nations. And for anybody who gives a shit about the commander XP and the raising of the ranks there, then I'm sure you're going to be doing that as well. But any smart person in this game is killing monsters at a high level, using all of their gas, and allowing it to regenerate every time they log in. Like, I still do that. Still to this day, every time I log in, I'm killing monsters just because it's free. Like, why would we not do it? And when that officer gets dropped, it's nice to not really have to buy packs, man. Like, I'm being honest with you.
That's facts.
Like,
How many-
it's
how
nice
many
to just move the bar to level 55, and I didn't buy one pack. It's
How
fucking
many?
great.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. How many times a new officer dropping us and you're just like boom maxed? because
Immediate,
as you do.
Woody, on everything I love, bro. On everything I love, all drill officers, every drill officer, I never bought a Commander XP pack, bro. I bought plenty of skill books now. Don't get me fucking twisted. All right. But the fucking XP packs, bro, the moment the officer comes out, it's level 55 for free. Every time. Every time. Now, mind you, I've been around long enough, so I literally start saving from the time the new one releases, until from each release, I'm saving. And I'm getting one for free every time, bro. I mean, I don't want to say for free, but I'm not having to go buy those packs to make it level 55. That I'm not having to do. I am buying skill packs, so there is some XP that comes in there. So yes, there's some organic purchase in there. But when the new officer comes out, bro, I'm never buying XP packs. Never. I'm killing monsters. I'm, doing all of those things. So it's yeah.
For the
Please,
new guys,
it-
the new guy that's in a YouTube channel should probably try to get your mobility between 90 and 93, somewhere around there, 90 to 93, and stick with the mobility being there. And you can do what Lee Got's talking about right now.
Absolutely. Especially if you buy
there's the answer to the question. I didn't have the nerd number, but there is a number in there. I'm pretty sure Deadpool told me something similar around that. But like, yeah, dude, it's right there, and you really just, if you're active, if you're logging in, and especially now, I mean, I remember back in the day the fuel regen was only to 100. They bumped it to 200 a couple of years back. So that was huge for for us, right? So
wake up
the
and
good
you're at
news.
like
Yeah,
180.
man, yeah, dude, it's perfect. Like I wake up and it's like, oh, I missed one monster maybe,
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think it's, pay attention, guys, to the stuff that Camel does give you, and and if you are purchasing like auto kill and things like that, man, set your phone while you're sleeping and put it on level 35 only, and let it do its auto killer, man, through the night. You don't have to worry about other people. It'll take forever, whatever it is, and I think it'll work great for you. Especially if it'll give you, even if you are spending money on the game, you can now turn that spend to some Titan meat or some gold things that you don't get in the game, or they come very rarely, or whatever the case is, because that you can get certain things in the game for the most part for free. Another thing, just throwing it out there, which I haven't done in years, but I'm playing Infinite Zombies every day now. You know, because there's fucking playing parts in that
Yep.
shit in the store. So I'm
You
literally playing this stupid fucking event every day now. I hate it. I hate Infinite Zombies. But I'm
figure out how
playing it
much you
every
really
day.
suck at it. Figure out how
Yeah,
much you really suck
I'm
at
like,
it.
I'm literally ranked like 40th in my nation every week. Dude, it's hilarious. People make fun of me all the time, but I don't care. I just want it to be over, you know? But dude, I play that shit every day now, bro, because I'm getting me 1,200 points of shit for free every day. Bro,
I,
you got to be dumb not to be doing that, man.
so
Why
I
For
do
real.
want to.
why don't you
I
just
do.
hit the auto button?
So I don't
Like,
even know that there is an auto button.
yeah,
Oh no!
so you do it once on Thursday, get your
What?
score,
Don't tell him. Don't
Get
tell
the
him. Don't
fuck,
tell him. Don't tell him.
get
Don't
the
tell him.
fuck out of here, dude. Are you
Yeah,
fucking
Don't tell
kidding
him.
me?
yeah, yeah,
Oh
bro.
my god, dude. I fucking hate you guys.
Especially
show them
especially if
Hokage.
you score high. If you score high,
Show
then
'em
you
on the
just keep
screen.
that score.
It's a
Dude, I'm
freaking
dead,
giant
bro.
button there.
Bro, I smoke a lot of weed, bro.
He's right next
That's
to the exchange
hilarious.
store, arrangement, and challenge.
See, look at the chat is dying right now. What the fuck? I'm an idiot. That's great.
See, you can teach. You see, even whales learn
And
something
you know
every day.
what's funny is I probably knew that like 4 years ago, but I literally have not played that thing forever, bro. I haven't played it forever. It's too
Yeah,
funny,
you
man.
just go in
So do
and do
yeah,
it.
I see it
Do it
now. I'm
once
looking
on
at it as we
Thursday.
speak.
Yeah, just go do it on Thursday and hit auto every time after that.
Perfect.
Lee
I'm over
guys,
here
so they're
spinning, bro. I'm over here spinning the button 1,000 times to get the 625 gold bullshit. I'm over here every day, bro, wasting 4,000 gold trying to find one of those fucking things. Dude, what a horror. I'm dead, bro. I'm dead. This is great. I'm just smoke my joint now.
so Lee guy. Also, Lee guy, there's a lot of videos out there that can show you how to get to 50,000.
Well, send me one of them. Maybe I'll take a look at it. But all I do now is I set them all, and then I just go to 4 times, and I usually get 1,200 at the end. Yeah, that's what I do. And it takes about 5 minutes.
I tell you who's really good at
Dude,
that.
I got my troll in 425 that loves to troll in like Facebook and shit like that. Cool dude, this guy's friend. Fucking dude, that guy's great at it somehow. He's got like a mediocre city at best, like a decent C37, but he is awesome at that. He's first by a mile every week, dude. And maybe he just cares a lot. I don't know, but he's first by a mile every week.
So those are the people that like they're getting first all the time. That they're spending hours upon hours resetting it. So they'll reset it if they don't get a good drop. They'll reset it to it starts that portion over
All right.
again.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes
But
sense.
I mean, they go hard on it. I'm trying to find the 50 million or 50,000. Let's see, 50,000 50K.
Too funny, man. I'm dying. Look at the chat with all the laughing emojis. I'm dead. Yo.
I mean, you gotta. I do want to say the video, the link that I posted for Officer Link, that is an old video, but it is still a basic acknowledgement of how like a new player should start their unworldlies up. Just as a FYI.
I mean, as even Holbrook just said, man, I mean, depending on the player and, kind of reverts back to leadership, but, if you're spending money or if you're not spending money, I think is the question. I think individually, people should talk about it, in alliance chat or, things of that nature. But if you're, a free player, and you're not going to be, or like a mediocre spender that, speeded up 3 or 4 years from, the time you started the game, if you're going to be spending that amount of money 3 or 4 years later, call it, use a budget in mind. Like those things are going to, like a portion of that budget or is going to go to consumables and other things and little events here and there. So, I think it's an individual thing, and I think that unless you're spending a good amount of money in this game, i.e., if you're like a C41 on today's date, or like a C40 on today's date, C39 even on today's date, like you're spending money in this game. A majority of the C38s from the old days, maybe there's some organic C38s out there, but I think even those guys spent some consistent budget, in this game. So like those guys who are spending money, like I would love that they sat like with a V time, or with myself or with somebody, and didn't just waste money in the game. Like wasting money in the game sucks because I've done it. I think we've all built things improperly and had to go back and change them. Or, whatever, made mistakes in certain areas that we wish we would take back. So if you had a little proper direction, I think that'd go a long way. And I think, community coming together to help in that regard, should be a no-brainer. But if you're a free-to-play player and you're really not spending money, man, I 100% agree with Holbrook, and just pump those damn those unworldlies, and once you get them to a point where those unworldlies become, excuse me, where the BT becomes a long time away, because the 6-star is like 50 or so shards, and the BT is like a few shards in the beginning, and then it grows as the levels grow. And I think it's around like level 12 or something along those lines. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's around level 12 when you basically get to choose. Hey, do I open up a 6-star with 56 shard, or do I go level say 13 with on this BT? I think then, depending on the player and the style of alliance that you are, I think the player that has that choice, I think he's going to want to open the 6-star just because he spent so much time doing the BT already. That the 6-star is going to be years from them if he went that route. Because again, we all know how long it takes to get like a Zeus shard. If you're not spending money. Like those things don't come, didn't come to me easily anyway, or Alexandria shards, like those things don't come, like they just don't, in my opinion.
And they come
So,
once you have it maxed out.
well, we know that, but like, we're talking about like these guys who aren't spending money and, are spending a very little and budget friendly gameplay. $500 a month, I think, is a lot to a lot of people, so like the probability of a majority of the players having a few bucks to spend here and there is probably going to be the majority of your nation. So I don't know. I think there's a lot to take away from, what your leadership is, but if you're smart, again, you're in these servers, you're on these discords, listening to these podcasts. I mean, we were online this morning, man, having a killer one with Rorty this morning. And, we watched some shit with Barry. Like, we watched a whole 45-minute Elite War with Barry. Like, dude, that was awesome. Like, I don't know if anybody's was on that earlier and on tonight again, but like, that was cool as shit, and I literally like ended watching that and went right into my own Elite War, like super hyped, and
Hell yeah.
I did. And like we were hyped, and it was a good Elite War, but like, yeah, like those, like I like that type of stuff, man. So if you're not in these communities and, and doing these things, you really should be, because that's like half the game, like it really is to me anyway. So
Other
yeah,
other
like,
than other than Kill Event, because when Kill Event's on, no one's on Discord in the
yeah,
community.
it's fucking ghost. It's ghost town, but that's good. That's
Yeah.
good, And what happens at fucking 0001, as soon as that 24 hours is over, man, the shit lights up like a Christmas tree. Everyone's sharing reports, and there's fucking this battle happened, and this guy got fucked up, and this, whatever, and so yeah, man, it's awesome. But like the non-spending players, the very little spending players, man, I agree wholeheartedly with what Holbrook said, man. Like, but don't worry about all that unworldly rigmarole, because when you do open it, and I say this with respect, bro, whatever comes when you open it, like that's what you're stuck with for a while. You know, you're gonna spend 50 something shards, and you're gonna open that 6 star and get one shard open, and it's gonna be a blue fucking zombie defense or some
Yeah.
dumb shit. You know what I'm saying? And like you're stuck with that. I would so much rather have level 13 of whoever's BT, probably. So, like but if you're one of those guys who's spending money and, you're likely going to grow that city, and over a period of time into, whatever, then yes, it takes a village, and you should be asking questions, and you should be asking your leaders and getting on these discords. So you're not spending your money in a way that just lights it on fire in the game. You're lighting it on fire in your life, but you don't want to light it on fire also in the game. And you can very easily do that. Camo loves when you do that. So do yourself a favor, ask questions, and don't try to go too crazy with just like raising your BP. I know that's difficult because again, Camo, puts that is the first box is your nation rank and things like, so, but that also feeds into their pockets because it's not cheap to recruit.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than having a lot of BP and being a paper tiger. And when I say paper tiger, I mean weak. Because you're gonna get a player like me, Lee God Holbrook, that's got really strong stats, and they're gonna see you, and they're gonna eat you. And that's don't want to do that. Keep it to where you can hide your troops till that you can take a hit. Like
I mean,
you
but it's
gotta.
just crazy to think that you could be a 60 million BP C35 with 400 LRA. It's like, bro, you could be like 1200 LRA, if you just didn't buy recruit packs like a fucking idiot, because we all know you bought recruit packs every week. We all know that you did this. So, like, dude, stop it, like, but that's, and those are typically people that are by themselves, that don't talk, that there's no communication with. They never show up when you ask them to show up, but they do show up randomly, and I don't personally like these players, honestly, I really don't.
Those are usually the players, honestly, that they go and trade their city. Once they figure it out, they're like, fuck. They get hit and
Well, I mean, we had
disappear.
one of those in 425, man. I forget the guy's name, but he was literally 60 million BP, and his LRA was 450. So, and he always carried a shield down, just like literally always. We came after our little Civil War thing that we had. We felt comfortable, to say the least. And after our rules were in set, that particular alliance was a little leaky, during an event. So that Monday morning, we just lit up the whole place. And Deadpool hit him first. He's like, I'm taking that guy out first. I'll tell you what, man. And Deadpool's a pretty strong guy. And I don't even think he used SRS or anything like that. But Deadpool went alone and he smoked his 60 million. Bro, he lost like 20,000, I think, like tanks or something like that. Like the losses on his end were like nothing. And the battle was over so fast. He got us disintegrated. So it was.
I, I,
Go ahead.
sorry, if you don't mind. I would add on this topic, we have someone that's C36 with I think 70 or 60 million BP.
Oh, jeez.
I don't remember, but when we ask this player to reduce his VP, his or her, he says that she's going 41 and she wants to have a lot of troops.
He's at 36 right now, and he plans on going to 41. Okay, so let's be real. that's at least a year away. I don't care what kind of money he's putting into it, unless he's a billionaire like oil tycoon.
No. She told us this excuse for months, and now the city is for sale.
Cities like that, and I'll be real, and I'm sure everyone can probably back me. The cities like that, once they get hit once and you see it, those are the cities that you see your own nation speeding in and trying to kill the rest of the troops in the middle of KE. Like in the middle of KE.
I'm personally known in a tight battle. If your shield drops, like I'm gonna kill you. You know, like if there's a buffer in points, like it is what it is. I'll let your team handle it. But if we're in a tight one, you know, and their shields dropping, man, I'm gonna kill you. You know, and in that same scenario, that's 60. I just had that. Luckily for the guy, not to say that I would have killed him, but you know, I think just pointing it out and maybe not being vocal about it, because I could have easily pinned his location, you know, on the nation chat and said, "Yo, bro, what's up with, you know, dropping your shield with all those damn troops and no fucking kills? I don't ever see you out there working your ass off for this nation, and you got all of those damn troops. So, like, what's up?" You know, I could have done that. No, I just hit him up, like, you know, what are we doing now? In this gentleman's case, they gave him a story. You know, my guy just simply deleted some troops because he wasn't going to get any stronger and he wasn't going to fight. Cool. But you better delete some troops, which he did. So I appreciate that. So shout out to that guy. You know, but in this,
he understood the situation.
yeah, you know, like, and that's cool. But in the same breath, I told him, spend your money on officers, bro, or Titans. Like, please, you know, because you don't get to be 70 million BP without buying some recruit packs once again. So do yourself a favor, you know, and as much as your leader's telling you to, you know, recruit for Void or some crazy shit, because whatever, like, no, man, like, if you got a very limited budget in this game, recruit packs are not the way to go. Okay. Just especially for you newer nations thinking that BP is, you know, if you want to be number one ranking in something or top something, try it to be in those 3 categories that we know and love, right? Which are officers, Titans, and, you know, call it warplane now, right? So like these are the 3 places that if you do have a very limited budget and you are spending some money, you want to, you know, put that money in these places, you know. I think depending on the situation, some uranium can be bought and things of that nature. But in reference to this C-36 70 million BP, like my first question would be is what are the stats? Because it could have easily been a 1500 C-36, right? Because they're out there. But if it's not, and it's like a
No,
700, if it's like a
it's
700,
1,200, 1,100.
For
I mean,
36.
that's not horrible. You know, it's not horrible. So I wouldn't want to kill the city, but I would definitely try to direct them into not spending money on recruit packs anymore because
She
obviously the city's
refuses. She refused
yeah.
to listen to us.
Yeah, those are tough, man, and those typically get killed or bought. You know, hopefully somebody can, you know, get that city and put some good use to it, maybe, and maybe actually get
And
it to a C-41. You know, who knows?
I have one last question. Sorry,
Hold on before you ask that question regarding this guy. Being it is up for trade, be sure whoever does get that city, you mention to him right away to figure out the whole troop thing, so he doesn't continue to cause the issue. Like mention to him right away, like, hey, look, drop some of your troops, you know, just so you don't lose it. Go ahead with your next question.
We'll try. My question is for the C-41s on defense. We had this some players tells me that you need more troop types on defense, like the lower tiers or troops from each tier type. So, and the other guy tells me you only need higher tier troops on defense. It will make your defense stronger. The lower
You know,
tier
when
troops will hurt your defense as
what
a
will
city.
happen
I mean,
is
if someone zeroes you.
Where's
when
tips
someone's
in the chat?
attacking you, when
Where,
someone's
okay.
attacking you, they kill your lower troops first. It costs you close to nothing to make lower tier troops. So if you're gonna get attacked, it's really nice and valuable to have tier 1, 2, 3, 4 troops in your city, because the way they calculate the loss is you'll find the majority of the losses will be those troops, and they don't cost anything to make. So I would concur with the first person who told you to have the lower tier troops. So not for the reasons why you think. It's not because they're gonna help you or hurt you. It's because when you do have a loss, they calculate your losses based off of those lower tier troops.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably also a point thing. So my first question is what's your BP? I think Tip is the first, the best person to answer this question because he runs a similar setup. My guy Deadpool in 425 also runs a similar setup with a bunch of lower tier stuff. But I personally have 0 T4 stuff or lower tier stuff. So, and
Yeah, but you play in a different game. You play a different game, like God. A
yeah,
whole
no,
different game because your
I
stats
don't
are
disagree.
impeccable, so your losses are minimized. But for the people that are like rocking 1,000 to 2,000 stats and they get hit, yeah, they want those tier 1, 2, 3, 4, so that way they can insulate their losses of their big troops.
The only reason why you would want those is if you have troops you cannot hide. If you have troops you can hide, they serve no purpose.
For someone that cannot hide.
For someone that cannot hide, it gives you a buffer. If you get hit, they're going to kill. It actually serves multiple purposes, kind of what Lee God was saying. Number one, it's a protection. If you get hit, as long as you can bubble after the first hit, the only thing you will lose is your lower tier troops. Now, the key to that is you have to build the same troops that you have. Do you understand what I mean by that? So let me give you an example. Havocs, there are no low tier Havocs. I think the lowest tier Havoc, what is it, 10 or 11? So remember, you're going to lose those. Two, it's a buffer and a point giver. I'll give you an example. You're fighting a bigger nation that you're afraid or it's close and you're afraid they're going to hit you. They probably won't hit you if you have 3, 4, 5, 6 million T4 or lower troops, even with a 40, 50, 60 man hit, because what'll happen is they will kill your T4s or lower, and you will kill their 12s and 13s and 11s and 10s and all that, whatever they send at you. And you're going to get 1 billion points, and they're going to barely get any points, and they'll lose the battle, if not the entire match.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of advantages to it. But again, it's if you can hide, don't do it.
Well, I think what he's really trying to say is, like, on defense, a lot of people will send those smaller troops on defense, and then you'll have that one mega whale speed in there on a defensive hit. So everyone else is being the meat shield while that whale is just killing.
No,
I think it's exactly
what I mean is that if you're a C41 with in the range of 100 to 160 or 100 200 million BP, your defense will be stronger with just higher troops, or if the lower
Actually, no, your
tiers will
defense is
hurt your
weaker.
average.
Your defense is weaker with lower troops.
your defense is weaker. So as long as you have a team, you should have some lower tier troops for the exact reason Tip just put out there for you.
Now, if you're curious and you want to see an example of how you can tell, do this. It's the greatest example there is. A lot of people don't realize this, but when you do the Mother of Doom, the big one where it sends every single troop you have, do it 2 ways. Do it with tier 10 and up, and then do it with all your troops. And you'll see if you have 5 million T4s or lower, for example, that you, even though you don't send those 5 million T4 troops, you'll get way higher score just sending your T10s and above. So it gives you an example of how it weakens your battle.
So it does weaken your defense.
Absolutely. Your overall power, it will weaken you. But again, it's intended for protection and it's intended to get you points. That's what it's intended for.
Yeah. So long as you can shield and you're not the guy sitting there without a bubble like the dodo bird, and your team is there and it's a trap, and you're attempting to get your city attacked. But I don't think any 120 million BP city wants to be attacked unless it is setting a trap. So if you're doing that, man, some lower tier stuff is definitely the way to go. So you won't have any losses. They're cheap to heal, and the points are fucking great, bro. You're not giving any, and you're just getting them all. Until you get to that like 400 million BP range, then I don't think you really have to worry about it much. But yeah, anything that's in that killable, in that killable realm, you should 100 million% have some lower tier stuff and a good team behind your back.
If you ain't 400 million BP plus, you want a buffer, and really maybe even 450.
Yeah.
Even 400 million is now killable.
But depending on who you fight.
Even myself at 354, which is something I still got to do. I should probably have some lower tiers because that's a lot. That's 20 million troops right there. So I don't want to lose them, but I have no problem fighting with them. But I'd rather lose the T1s and T4s than my T13s. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't run them in 357 because of Civil War, and I don't want to, be caught with my panties down and have some T4 in there that'll lower my stats. But yeah, I think that the 400, 450 mark for the right alliances, if you're fighting the right people, they can definitely take down those cities, man, or at least we'll give them a good go for their money. So yeah, I wouldn't suggest being without a shield, number one, and avoid war. But if you are out there setting traps and you're like 100 to 250 million BP, because we use Deadpool in a similar trap scenario, and he runs T4 and he's over 200 million BP. People come at him, and the points are awesome, So like at the end of the day, like I would 100% take tip suggestion there for those exact reasons. Because you could be getting a fuck ton while giving very few. I think everybody who's killable should definitely have some lower tier stuff.
Thank you, brother.
Make sure you leave your zombies
Thanks.
on attack too, or defend, I should say. That's super important. A lot of people don't because they're scared. But make sure if you're gonna have a big hit like that, make sure your zombies are active for defense.
If you're a C41, then you should have it on. But anything less, you shouldn't.
You would be surprised. A lot of people don't have them active for defend.
Yeah, that's a big one for sure. For sure.
They're the strongest troop in the game. Keep that in mind.
I have mine in joint defense, definitely. If I get hit, you got 400,000 T13s coming at you. Zombies. That's a lot.
Yeah, they sting, man. They get some kills, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah, they do. Imagine them getting 3 million kills off a 60-man hit, just the zombies alone. That's a lot. A lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ways to build those cities, but I agree with the stance of, please, guys, don't waste your money on the recruit stuff. I think that with the nature of the way Camel is giving us new things to purchase, and especially the newer nations, man, just stay away from the recruit packs unless you're like a whale. There's so much shit to buy that you really should be focusing that spend on the 80 million different things that you can buy that would probably be a little more valuable. The crew packs are probably the worst spend in the game, overall. I hated buying those damn things. I just hated it.
That and those extra troops. Remember those $50 packs for extra troops? T11 troops?
I was never,
oh my God.
I had never bought that. I was always selective at what I bought. I never bought the dumb shit. In my opinion, I was one of the dumber ones. But I did buy a couple of the zombie packs while I was trying to fluff up. So, I've run across it as what it is. But yeah, man, the recruit packs are just a waste. And unless you're going to buy the damn store out and be like a lead god or Ronaldo and, just have too many troops, I would highly suggest putting that money elsewhere. Unless you're whatever, there's a handful of nations out there that go real hard in events and, like to pump up those first 4 phases for whatever reason. Like do you, but like do it within your spend bracket, guys, because there's so many packs to buy if you are spending money that, man, the recruiting ones should literally be on the bottom of the totem pole. We have so many things going on in the game financially. So if you are one of the lucky ones that are able to spend a couple of dollars on the game, again, recruiting pack should be like fucking way down on the totem pole. So, I wouldn't suggest any of that.
Liga, let me ask you this, and I know Justin Tip does this. So, is it smart to save all your recruiting packs, recruiting speeds for like certain nations and certain setups? For instance, if you're going up against a nation that you know they're going to recruit heavy in bubble, is it smart to just say, let's save up and then we use it for those kind of nations?
I mean, every nation's different, man. Everyone's got their own way and their own priority events. So, I'll use 425 as an example if Tip wants to talk. But like 425, like we focus on void wars. Or recently, I've stated that we focus on the double void warhead estate, which was the most recent one we just had. So that's where we focus, our spend. But right now with the potential of C44 coming out, we're not really trying to have anybody recruit. Sure, some of the guys that are, still growing, right? Changing from C37 to C38 or 637, whatever the change is. Those guys are recruiting, I call it organically, but when the new troop tier comes out, those guys should be recruiting regardless if it's frenzy or whatever, because it's going to do, best for you there. I do think that your whales, the people who, I'll use myself as an example. I don't recruit, unless somebody's trying to like bully us, and yeah, so I don't recruit. I mean, I don't have much room to recruit anyway, but there's a good handful of us that really shouldn't be recruiting right now. Like I would probably lose a void war to not have to recruit right now just because it would be such a waste. So at the end of the day, like but Tips Nation, wouldn't put up with that. They're gonna, make sure that they go into the event super close. But we recently had a void with 246, I believe it was. And that cat guy, man, he recruited like 4 billion out of nowhere, bro. Completely left field. Just dropped 4 billion recruiting, like what the fuck? So like, a couple of us recruited behind it, but like also at that time was Mental was building his city. So he was every event dropping $1 billion and a half or 2 billion in recruiting. So I but I was kind of vocal and and I said sorry beforehand because I knew he would be doing those things. And but like again, man, the recruiting side of it, I think nobody should be winning a void war with recruiting. It's number one. I don't think, in my opinion. I don't think you can you can stand at the top of a hill and say we won the war, but we just recruited more than you. Like I don't like that. So
Isn't that what I said last week? How do you call yourself a void nation if you lose KE? Pretty sure I said that last week.
I don't just like I'm not here
Listen,
to like
if I void
redo rivalry.
425, if we void 425, I'm gonna win in recruitment. I'm gonna spend like 10 billion points, and I'm gonna bubble the whole time. I'm sorry.
Not against that. No, you're not.
I mean, but that's no fun, man. And I'm sorry. What nation are you from?
I'm kidding. It's 737, but in all seriousness, like what can you do with like there's certain people that they can't beat you, so they can't go to head to head. They got to do what they got to do. But I don't like it either. I'm just saying, like if I was a nation in your realm and there was nothing I could do, I mean,
we run against those things, and at the end of the day, like I would almost be as like a respect thing. I would hate to, go into it. Like, let's put it this way: if I thought that it was going to be a recruiting thing, if like let's say 425 and 567 went in a void war, and 425 really wanted to win, or whatever the case was. I mean, I think everybody kind of says like phase 5 is everything, but the game says that all 5 phases shows the winner of the event, which calculates into the percentage of rankings and all these great things, right? So I think that, in an essence, if I'm looking at a nation like 567 who's got a, probably 95 win rate or something ridiculous up there in a void war type settings, like I would almost forego the win to them so I didn't have to recruit, like and put that style of pressure on my nation. That's me. Okay. I also know that 567 likes to recruit, right? Just, whatever. But like, I would personally rather direct my nation to buy officer packs and Titans, blah, 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 than have so much pressure and dedication, which I respect. I've been open about this. 567 is probably my favorite nation above us, right? And the things that they do up there. So like I have a lot of respect for it, but I also think their team could get maybe a little bit better if they were to, more powerful, quote unquote, if they were to maybe give up a couple of those void war percentage rankings and spend that money outside of recruiting, right? I think pound for pound, speeded up a year from now, it would be a lot better for them. But they're ran very well, man. So like let them do their thing, So but you can't be like a 439 and just recruit and then not even lower a single bubble and want to fight. Bro, that's the gayest shit I've ever heard of.
Yeah,
It's the gayest shit I've ever heard of, and I hear it's like a thing now. If it's like
Now,
a
hold up.
thing now, that
I think
shit's crazy.
for me, it's a couple of things. Like, so 286 did that to us. They recruited a lot, and then they bubbled, and then they're very disciplined with it. But they don't brag. They're like a super KE nation, right? They're just like, hey, we're gonna win the event at all costs. Cool, I can deal with that, right? You can't. I dislike a nation saying, "Oh, we're a boy nation, killing phase is our face," and then you lose it. I mean, that to me is like, nah, man. Just say that you're gonna win the event, period. However, you're gonna win it, and then not say anything else in between. Like, don't tell me you're gonna be fighting, and then your team doesn't fight. Like, that's to me, it's like you're talking up all that smoke. Like, fight to fight.
That's the exact reason why I made.
So let me just ask you, Vitan, are you talking about 567 when you say that, and your guys' recent void war that you lost?
Yeah, because it was like
okay. So listen. I'll say this with the utmost respect to both teams because I love you guys both. Right? If you guys don't know that that's how 567 rolls, which they're gonna get a fucking advantage in the first 4 if they can get it. And you're going to fight about 15 people for the most part. And the others are going to likely be T4 related in some capacity. Like you should know that as a 621 nation, knowing the opponents around you.
No,
you should know that.
I knew that. Like, honestly, there's chats where I'm saying, hey, do not recruit. Don't make it a spending. Like, it's not worth it. We'll fight. And that's what it is. The only reason I said that was because.
And you guys won phase 5, right? So somebody dropped the shield. You guys won phase 5. So there's a little bit of bragging rights there.
It was said,
no.
621. It's not a good.
If you're going to get the truth, Lee God. We got up so far ahead that we just said that we're going to let our new guys play and participate because they wanted to play. So we have battle reports that we tripled the kills on them with their big players, and they had 4 times the amount of players.
I saw the reports, bro.
So to sit there and say they won KE is a joke. We literally gave it to them and let them play because we wanted to let our guys play because a lot of guys were upset and they just joined us. As you know, we did a mini merge, so we allowed guys to play and we didn't care about it because we were so far ahead. Who cared? And there was nothing they could do. So to sit there and say we didn't play when we did, and we not only played, but every big battle, we literally dominated and crushed you. Literally crushed you. I can't say it any simpler. And if you want to see the reports, Lee God sounds like he's seen them. I'd be happy to post them.
Dude, there was good battles. When there was fighting, there was good battles both ways. I'm not going to say there wasn't good battles. But
Well, no, but you're saying we don't fight, and that's where I was confused because you're
no,
sitting
no,
here
no, no.
saying we
I said,
bubbled
I said,
and we're Void Nation. No, we won, and we won. We got far ahead. We decided to let our guys play. We were up 2.6 billion points at one point. If
what
we
I'm
wanted
saying
to
is,
say fuck it, we could have packed up and said we won the Void War, we won Phase 5. See ya. We didn't do that. We said, hey guys, we're so far ahead. Let's let them have some fun and play. No
I'll
big
put it to you
deal.
this way: in you
Simple as
guys'
that.
attack, majority reports there's only 9 or 10 people attacking. In your defense, there's about 30. So that tells me there is only about 10 players are fighting.
What does
There's
that have
players
to
that
do
you guys.
anything? The point
I'm
is
just
that we
saying.
played the Void War and we won. Are you crying because there was 10 and not 30?
No, I said
Okay,
don't
I'm just
say
curious because the 10 kicked your 44 ass.
I just said, hey,
Literally.
do not say
Crushed
you're a
you
good
3
Void
times,
Nation.
killed like 6.6 million troops to your 2 million. And that's what you're kind of saying is a crappy Void Nation? I'm going to have to say that's a pretty badass Void Nation.
All right, Tip. Let's see the video. Let's see the battle report.
I mean,
Put it in the chat of it. Put it in the chat of it of the stream.
I gotta find it. I wasn't
That way we
prepared to
can.
do it.
That way we can settle this.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot there, V time or Tips. Like that wasn't my intention, guys. So I do apologize.
No.
No, I understand. Like I'm not mad. It's just he's sitting here saying, and he brings out and says that we don't fight and we don't do this and we don't do
and I
that.
wasn't
But we
privy.
literally
And I
got so
wasn't.
far ahead that we said, "Fuck it, let everybody play." And
Yeah,
then
no,
then
and
then
that's
they,
and
their
that's
takeaway
exactly
is
how
we
it
won
should be.
Void Nation or Phase 5. Get the frick out of here.
Because
Listen,
people
on
do
his
say,
behalf,
right?
though.
Absolutely embarrassing.
On his
Hey, hold
behalf,
up.
though, your name is just the Tip. You know, it's not the
I
whole.
could go with that.
It's not the whole thing. It's just the Tip. At least you're headlining, right?
Well, I understand. I'm just saying that it just blows my mind that that's literally their claim to fame is that we allowed our. You can literally see one report, and then 3 or 4 hours later, we let everybody play, and there's a report with 30, and they had 40 something. They killed 3.5 million, and we killed 2.9 million, and they had 15 more players than us, and they barely beat us by 500k troops, and that's their claim to fame that they're a great and they won Phase 5. Are you serious?
Hold up. I didn't say that's what makes us
Hold
great.
on.
Wow.
We were fighting
That's what I said, Tip. Tip, I said that they won Phase 5 because I wasn't privy to the information. I just saw
Oh, no,
numbers for
no, no.
numbers.
I know, but I've seen
But
other
that-
things. Like, God, nothing against you. I've seen
Okay.
all the things they've
All
been
right.
saying.
All right.
That's where that's coming from. And
Again,
that
wasn't my
argument.
intention to cause any type of rift,
I
but I
understand. And
felt what V Time was saying in there, so I just want, because again, man, like everybody should know. Getting back to the nitty gritty, like if you're fighting 5, 6, 7, you should know that 10 to 12 players, bro, those guys literally sit there for 24 hours. It's not that they're the only ones allowed to fight. No, they literally fucking sit there for 24 hours, bro. They don't
we
move.
have
They
2
stare
or
at
3 people
bubbles
that
or
play those accounts nonstop.
yeah.
Each account.
Trust me,
They're
I'm aware. I'm
Oh,
aware.
is there going
Yeah.
to be a rematch?
I've
I'd
felt
be happy
the
to.
pain of 5, 6, 7.
I'd be
Those
happy
guys
to.
are, some of the best out there for sure. And just seeing what they did against, 255 earlier, or Tip's little SOS against the 255 guy. Like, whatever. I have a lot of, 255, my favorite nation below us, 567, my favorite nation above us in 425. It's kind of been my thing for a few years now. I was gonna build my nation similar to Bo. Like I was gonna follow in his footsteps a few years ago, and anyway, ended up going with Baby and her ordeal over there. But like your guys' little Void War a few months ago, man, like that was like the talk of the town, man. At least in our
Yeah.
nations anyway.
We were
And
300 globes or 300 nations apart, and we gave 255 a run for their money. I
like a
mean,
real one, like
yeah,
a real
I
one.
thought we did pretty damn good. And
Like
they
a
beat
real
us,
one.
hands down. They
Yeah.
beat us in
Yeah.
all 5 events. They did. But I'll tell you this: we drained them. Whoever they played the next 2 times would have had should have said thank you.
Yeah. There's some bag saving whores over there in
You
255.
ain't
I'll tell
lying.
you what.
Oh my god!
There's some bag saving whores over. Yeah, you Bayou. I see you in the chat, motherfucker.
They're impressive.
Yeah,
I ain't gonna lie.
I
But
do
we're
know
afraid of
that.
nation. Like we have 439 right now in our head of state, and I'm not gonna lie, we're afraid that they're gonna do exactly what somebody was saying they're gonna do. Hopefully
Yeah,
they
so you have
don't. But they do have a
so you
history
have
of it. So we
yeah,
got to
you
do what
have
we
to
got to do.
prepare for those things, and I think leading back to the topic is, when you're recruiting and depending on the nation that you're in, like, I'm fairly certain if in fact they play 4-3-9, they're gonna have some guys right at the end to make sure that nobody's gonna, steal some crazy lead at the very end there. It's just not gonna
Oh,
happen.
we fought them
So like,
here in Void or Frenzy. I can't remember what it was. I think it was Void a few months ago, and it was exactly like you said. I mean, it was probably I want to say the lowest or second lowest score we ever got in the game. There was just nothing to hit. They just
yeah,
bubbled.
I mean, dude, I'll tell you, those guys can be, they at least can place a shield. I'll give
Hmm.
them that. And I haven't played it many times soon, but some good friends of mine have, and I'll tell you what, man, it's and it sucks because 4-3-9, I personally thought was, set to have one of the best mergers when they first got merged. And I thought they were going to be a great nation, but it turned into whatever it turned into, and now they're winning events like this. I wouldn't be able to, feel prideful in saying that I won the event, personally, if I only were to, just recruit and shield, but
Yeah, if
if
you
I were
literally did that, that would be insane.
yeah, it's crazy, but if I'm a 5-6-7, what is your guys' void win rate tip? Not to toot
It's
your
like
fucking not
96%. 96%,
yeah, dude,
I think.
it's yeah, those things in the game, guys. If you're one of those nations that care about that particular percentage rate right there, sorry to tell you, man, like it's not going to be fucking easy to ever beat them. And respectfully to 621, if they wanted to win that board war, not to say they couldn't, right? Because whatever, like, bro, you wouldn't be able to go into that event minus 2 billion, and into phase 5, like you just
Now,
wouldn't, you know.
screw that. I'm never recruiting to get that win. Not that it's like that's their. Not saying like it's what they always do, but I'm not recruiting to. I'm either our goal is to either go minus 500 or plus 500 million points to have that little
Yeah, no,
buffer where there's
that's
battles, and then.
exactly what, in what I opinion, should be, right?
But
I agree
for,
with that.
for me, like, so let's just say 255, right? We told them, hey, we're not recruiting. You're not recruiting, right? Let's just go in there head to head and let's go. Like
I
that's
like
we.
that option. I like
You
that option.
guys
I wish
got
somebody would
beef
offer
with
that to
5.
me.
Yeah, you guys got beef with 5-6-7. Number one, and number two, I doubt anybody offered that.
No, it
I mean,
wasn't.
to be honest with you, look, I even told Tip this. I came before after the beef. So whatever the beef is, I still don't even know, and I don't care to ask, right? But
Yeah, I get it.
there's
I'm the
certain
same way.
things for me. There's certain things like you can't say we're not good when we are good at certain things. It's just sometimes the chips don't fly the way they're supposed to. But if we fight them again, I'll extend it out and say, hey, do you want to do no recruiting for no recruiting? Doesn't mean we won't let the second alliance
Well,
recruit.
and I'll shoot you straight, V-Time. The reason why we did what we did with you guys, because we don't do that with everybody. I mean, usually we go behind 1 to 2 billion into it. The reason why we did that with you guys is because you have like 20 accounts that can't hide. And we were honestly worried that you would only fight in your nation, except for Maverick and maybe a few others that have high enough BP that, you know what I mean? They would be safe per se, and or at least to defend. So that was our concern. You know what I mean? Whereas you saw me, you saw Lana, you saw Mick, you saw all top 10, 15 guys, all of our players, even from the very start of phase 5, we went to 621 and we attacked you. We didn't hide in 567. We literally went as soon as the game reset, boom, we went to 621 and started attacking. We wanted to prove that we weren't afraid to go to 621, even though you have the ability to zero me, and I know that. But I still went and I still did my thing. And
So
that to me is a big deal.
I get that, but we were ready to. We already had a plan of going to 567 and let everybody fight, even the big boys that can't hide. We already had a plan to what was going to happen if they do attack, how we were going to set up and stuff like that. So for us, we were expecting more bubbles on fighting 567, but not
We
like I said,
weren't.
it is next time go. I'll reach out to you and say, hey, I'll give you my word. We are not recruiting. If the Alliance 2 wants to recruit, that's on them. Like I can't control them, right? But as long as
Well,
we're
what
on
we
the
would
same
do
page,
is we would match for match, and again, if we see you going, just go ahead and know that we're going to beat you by 2 or 3 billion points if you decide to do it.
yeah, no. I look.
Tip,
If I say
Tip,
I'm gonna
when
do
we
something,
recently played you guys, man, it was simple, right? That's what we did.
Yep,
It was,
absolutely.
it was, I have, I'm friendly with 567. I'd like to think so. Maybe it's a little bit different than 621, but I feel like if that communique would be there, even if there's a little bit of beef. Now, sure, there's going to be, like Tip just said, there's going to be 10 guys online in the final minutes waiting to make sure everybody holds their deal. But man, that would be great for the community, in my opinion. If nations like 567, 255, about 42, we all just said, yeah, we can spend money on recruiting like idiot. I think it's stupid. I'm sure Tip and everybody on the chat here can say that it's stupid and a waste of money.
Well,
Unless
you
you're
don't
building your
get you
city.
don't get those kind of recruits if you're recruiting every event. Keep that in mind. I'm not a 600 million BP city. I'm a 300 million BP city. So
Right.
we obviously just save them for the one time that we think we
Is
actually have
Mick
to use
building
them.
a city? What's Mick's BP right now?
Oh, Mick is a freaking, oh my God, bro. The killer isn't even the word, bro. Assassin. I mean, that guy is crazy. Here's the thing. You can hide 5 fleets, right? 6,
But
7.
he's in the
That dude
process of
runs with
building.
3 fleets. He runs with 3 fleets and that's it.
Oh, okay. So he's not going to build it up then. I was going to ask if
No,
he's going to start to recruit to build it.
no. He is literally
Okay,
running
cool.
3 fleets and he focuses the money that he would have spent on recruits, he spends on heels, is how he does it.
So
I got
I'll say it. Hold on, I'll say this. So when 736 went against 567, I was told if you guys don't recruit, we won't recruit, and that was fine. And Tip even showed me that each like a good 15 of them have over 1,000 days of recruiting. Like they could have just dumped on us. And I told my nation or my alliance, do not recruit. Please don't recruit. And Kay decided he was going to recruit. I think it was 350 million
Yeah.
points. And then you said, okay, all right, and you went 800. So I mean, I've seen it firsthand. Like they said, okay, we'll make a deal, but you break it, it's on. And
I mean, but it should be like that, right? Like from a man to, if a man reaches his hand out and I make a deal with another man, we should be able to keep our word. Well, anymore, man or woman, right? Leadership, whatever you want to call it. Once that deal is made, you should be able to, stand by that. And if you can't stand by that, then you deserve everything that's coming to you, whether it's
Yeah,
extra
nobody wants
recruit
to
or
buy
getting your.
mass recruits. Like you said, it's just it sucks. It absolutely sucks.
I mean, unless you build new troop tier or something, that's always kind of fun in the beginning when you're getting some new troop tiers and stuff. But guys like us, when you're max cities and you're waiting on new city tiers to come out, yeah, we don't want to recruit, man. So I 100% agree that especially to the top nations out there. Somebody just said in the chat, big nation problems, right? So I think that's true. Because
You
that is
say
big.
that, but it's not, because if you have a small nation and you have that one whale that does like Mental did, where he goes and recruits 1 billion points,
Yeah, you're
and the
right.
normal score is 3 billion total, and you got one guy who does it 1 billion of it in recruit. I mean, that can be small nations or newer nation problem too. Don't think it can't be.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
you're
gonna be
100% right there.
it's gonna be a problem when he figures out that he's carrying a nation and no one wants to step up. Then he leaves. That's the problem.
That too, which we see a lot, unfortunately.
A lot. I don't know how many nations I've told, even they're freaking monsters inside there. But hey, bro, you better light a fire underneath everyone else's asses. Yeah, it's cool to get the time of that you want it, on your own solo. But how much are you willing to spend before you say, okay, this is just too much. No one's fucking keeping up. You can't win anymore.
I will say the most fun I've ever had in the game was the first year of the game, though. Still the most fun. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, I don't know, man. I feel like I'm having a lot of fun, focusing on the Elite War, and I'm kind of liking the potential of Wasteland here in the future. I don't know, man. I'm enjoying the game still, honestly. Sure, maybe I liked it a little bit more when there was less field on Sundays. These days, and
There's less
maybe
pressure
it's
to
like
spend, per se. You know what I mean?
it's a lot less pressure to spend, man. Like I'm only spending because whatever, I'm maybe a little bit different. I'm a retarded junkie degenerate, but yeah, I don't have to, bro, at all, like I used to.
You
Like what he
you all
just said,
realize
carrying nations. It's like that's not a thing anymore. Like
you all,
that's so far in the past.
you guys realize it's 25 minutes before Chaos Land, right?
Yeah.
All right, just
I don't think anybody's going to show, though. I'm curious.
I don't know, because Chaos Land is only a semi-annual, so I mean it only happens twice a year, so I think some people will show up.
Man, I'm
I hope
definitely
so.
going. It's going to be fun. I mean, I don't know if
I
I'm
hope
going to
so.
join the first round.
It gives you a chance to test
It's an
out these
hour and a
big
half
BP
long, right?
cities.
It's
You
an
can
hour
see
and
if
a
you
half
can
long,
murder
right?
these. Absolutely.
Yeah,
You can see
I'm
if you
gonna
can kill these 300 million BP cities. That's what's fun.
I'm gonna join it and I'm gonna record it. I'm not going to go live on it.
Hey,
'Cause
why didn't they do any mergers this time? Do you know?
that's the $1 million question. That is the $1
Hold
million
on, before we
question, my
got,
friend.
can we just? I know V Time's still here. There's some 621 guys still here. Can we just shout out real quick? And I don't know if it was talked about before we got on there that KGK beat Sin in an Elite War today.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Did anybody?
Thank you.
What?
Did anybody talk about that? Did I
I
miss
gotta see.
anything?
No,
I saw
there's no proof.
Yeah, proof this dingaling. I saw those points drop, mother trucker, and those points.
Yeah,
Those
our points
points don't drop without somebody beating somebody. And I
I
know
heard it was
you guys
extreme. Is what I heard.
Do
gained a
not be
lot of
instigating.
points, and somebody lost a lot of points. So
Do not
all
be
I know is
instigating.
I'm not instigating, bro. I'm just giving you your fucking props, bro. Good fucking job, man.
You're
You know what I'm
instigating.
saying? Like
That bag is a little dry right now.
I'm sure that bag's dry.
was gonna retort
Bags are
that.
dry on both sides, bro. So don't. I'm sure you guys are gonna challenge again soon. I would, but
Okay,
like.
so hey, so you know how you say why don't the top fives really face each other? Like a lot of times or majority of times.
Because you're broke. Now you're broke.
That's
Yeah.
exactly why.
You're not going to
that's
do Chaos Land. You're not doing freaking
I'm not
PC.
dumb, beat that. Come on, man. I've been doing this shit for years, like Too Short used to say. Come
We
on, man.
see what Barry had to go through this morning. We seen it.
Yeah, dude, that shit is not fucking cheap, bro.
Wait, who did Barry face?
But that's what you got to do to get to number one. You got to beat number one. And you know what? I'll just, just to give 621 their props, man. I remember talking to your guys' leadership team, November, December last year, when you guys were doing a bunch of recruiting and stuff, and Mav and you guys started to come, and you guys said that you were going to focus on Elite War this year, and I think that if you continue your focus the way you have been, then by year's end, you're gonna be first, man. And I think that that's admirable. I think that's something to be commended. I think that all of those things should be, talked about because that's fucking awesome. Tim's been sitting up there fucking playing with their fucking ball sacks for, years at this juncture. And shout out to them because they're fucking awesome. And I love those guys. But it looks like they're
honestly, the last 30 seconds could have gone either way if it wasn't for certain people making the right calls at that moment, either holding the fight at towers. Like I said, it was certain people made the right choice at the right time in the last 30 seconds. Put it that way.
That's all that matters, man. And so great job. And I'm surprised that didn't get brought up way earlier.
I think it might have been just wanted to be swept underneath the rug, let no one know. But you pointed that one out. You pointed it out.
I mean, listen, I'm an Elite Warhorror. You guys should know this now. So when I see those rankings move, another one that was kind of funny that I saw today, 269 got beat by 171.
Really?
And some random tower. Yeah, bro. They lost. Like GFK is like a few points away from UBN right now, and they're really close to us, and they weren't earlier. So I know they lost to somebody, and I'm looking at the rankings, I think that it's 171. Because for the most part, I know the top 20. And I definitely know the first two, so can't hide that shit from me, V-Time.
Well, it used to be
No,
219 and 52 ED1. Were at the top two for fucking years, going back and forth. I remember
Yeah, I
that.
mean,
over here.
I feel like Sin put ED1 in their place a long time ago, and
Yeah,
that stopped
over
a
2
long
years.
time ago. Yeah, that
2 years
stopped,
ago.
man. No one's
Yeah.
given Sin a run for their money until today. Let's just say that. And I don't think anybody can give Sin a run for their money other than KGK, honestly.
Man,
I don't think anybody else. I don't think even 255 can. I don't think they have the power just yet. Even though they have the participation, I don't think they have the power. But anyway, what long and short of it is, yeah, they're not easy, man. And so yeah, it's a fucking accomplishment. I know it wasn't easy or cheap for that matter, but I don't think that anybody could have done it but you guys, to give you your fucking boys for what you deserve there. But looking at that
Yeah.
point, I didn't realize the point swing would be that much, though. I'll give you that as well.
I
Because
think
when
the only reason why it was so much was because I think Sin challenged us, but it was talked about. I don't know how it was done.
no, you must have challenged them.
yeah,
I,
you wouldn't get no points
that's
if you
why I scored
defended.
because
We did
that,
challenge them. We challenged Sin.
so I
Yeah,
think
so
that's
you
what made the
challenged
difference.
them.
The challenge.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
made that 100% made the difference. Which is the right way to do it because you're the one coming for them, right? And
The thing too is though we've actually scored higher on Elite War. We've done it one where we scored more points than what we scored today. So I'm not sure sort of how Camel does that different, like how they
How
do
long?
the calculation.
How long did the battle
But it
last?
went the
45
full
minutes.
45. But
Yeah.
Okay,
the other
so
one that we did also, and I actually think it might have been UBN. This was back when KGK is trying to climb the ranks, and we made a challenge and we made a run at UBN, and I'm almost positive we scored higher on that one, and they were also ranked higher than us, and it also did go the full 45.
so if they go to full 45, there's a points gap right there, and also how many troops that you kill. So if you went against the other DV, whatever you want to call it, and you got a lot more kills off of that whole 45, you're gonna get a hell of a lot more points. Now, like you said, you didn't get as many kills against 219. You went to 445. Well, there's your point difference.
I don't know,
What about
Woody. I had
how
to
many
use
towers
100
you
That's
hold?
heals.
And
that's how it was. That's how
Your
it was
V-Time
explained to
over there,
me.
your V-Time is like, man, I had 300 speeds and 300 days of heals. Them shits are
Well,
gone.
I'll put it to you this way: I used 200k, over 200k gold, and 100 days of heals. That should tell
Yeah.
you how much it
So
costs.
so imagine what Mav dropped or like any whatever, like, bro, there is so much gold that went into that Elite War today that Camel just whoop, they love it.
Cha-ching,
They
cha-ching.
love it. That I'll tell you what, that
They're
Elite
probably
War
watching it. They're probably watching
no,
it.
but that Elite War had more spend in it than all of GC in our globe, bro.
That's what we said.
Bird, yeah, that's what Bird said when we all came
Yeah.
out, was like, we just spent what we would have spent in round 1 on GC on this Elite War.
Yeah, that's big facts, man. That is big facts. And again, shout out to you guys for getting that thing done out there. That was cool to see. I know you guys are trying to keep the respect out there for Sin because they deserve it. Not out there sharing screenshots and all that stuff. I'd be the same way. And you guys are great at being a winner. But that is something to to be talked about in a respectful way, obviously, because they're a great team over there in 219. But it's also to be spoke about at a high level because the fact that you guys were able to put a team together and go up there and give the number one elite horse, give them a challenge and come out victorious. Well, there's lots to be said about that. Especially because, it's a goal that you guys set out, which is even cooler to me as a leader of a nation and a great alliance and all of those things. And right behind you guys, in the rankings. Not to say I can give you guys your run for your money because I don't think I can, honestly. But to say that you guys sat out a year ago, to be where you are today, or in a position to be, to grab that goal that you sat out about a year ago to get, that's cool. And as again, a leader of nation and things like that, it's it can be done, and and you guys are shit. if that point swing continues to happen like that, man, you guys are 2 victories away from being number 1. You know,
Yeah, we
so
have to
That
give
much?
credit to
Was it really
Yorkie for
that
that.
much points?
bro, it's a 500 minus to them and 500 plus to them. It's a 1,000-point swing.
Holy cow! Yeah, wow.
Yeah,
It's a
so with all
1,000.
that, it comes down to Yorkie. Like, she's been pretty good about setting things up, letting us know in advance. Like, she's good about communicating with the other team. Like, hey, this is what we're gonna do. Look, out of respect and this and that. So I have to give it up to Yorkie. She's pretty good about, doing all this and making it work. Choosing the right times, I would say, to do it too. So it's not like just like, oh, out of the blue. She's very organized. So I give the shout out to her. She's doing a very good job of leading 6-2-1.
Yeah, you don't get to be that rank, and you don't get to even be in a position to give them a legitimate challenge and then to come out victorious without being properly led, man. So once again, man, shout out to you guys for doing your thing out there.
Hell yeah, America.
All right, I'm out because
What
I
up?
got to get ready for chaos before I have to go to sleep. Wake up at 2
Yeah,
in
I
the
was
morning.
gonna say we got 14 minutes for Chaos Land, so I don't know if you guys want to end the stream or so people can prepare.
Yeah, let's go ahead and kill it. I'm gonna take my old ass to bed. Y'all have a nice time in Chaos Land. Maybe I'll jump in for 357 and grab some merit real quick or something. While I'm up for a couple of minutes. But yeah, man, awesome podcast. And again, my bad to Tip and V Time throwing in the spot there. I didn't necessarily mean for it to go down like that. It wasn't my intention. But I do like the way it ended though. So thanks to you guys for being respectful and keeping it cool. Regardless
All
of
good,
the
man.
animosity.
Appreciate it.
So yeah, you guys enjoy the week, man. And we'll see you same time, same place next week, man. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Talk soon.
Have a
Good
good
night,
one.
guys. Peace.